Thank you. Oh, wrong paper. Okay, the time is now 6:34. Excuse me. The date is Wednesday, July 22nd, 2026. Commissioner Franklin is currently absent, and Commissioner Vendetti is also absent. Excuse me. Please note we are doing a hybrid meeting. Nope, sorry. Please note we're doing a hybrid meeting with in-person and virtual attendance. I don't know what's wrong with my voice. If a member of the virtual public would like to make comments during a public hearing, please use your raise hand function on Zoom and you will be assigned a speaking time. If you are listening in via telephone dial-in, press *9 to raise your hand, then press *6 excuse me, to unmute yourself. This meeting is being recorded by the local scene, and a record of this meeting will be posted on the local scene website as soon as they are able. Anyone intending to make an audio or video recording of this meeting should notify me at this time. Okay. And announcement, the Kingston Conservation Commission is seeking a new member. Commissioners are responsible for protecting the town's natural resources, including through enforcement of state and local wetlands protection laws. Those interested should reach out to the Conservation Department by calling 781-585-0537 or emailing Matt Pennella at mpenella@kingstonma.gov, mpenella@kingstonma.gov. All right. We don't have any bills.
No bills.
So straight to action items. I will now continue a public meeting to discuss the request for certificates of compliance submitted by Beals and Thomas on behalf of the permit recipient Adam Schumacher for construction of a dual-use agriculture and solar array system within existing cranberry bogs at 126 Ring Road, DEP file number 037-0890, and 131 and 137 Ring Road, DEP file number 037-0889. And the applicant has requested continuance to August 12th, 2026. Do you have any comments?
No, this was at the last meeting. I had shared the information they had provided, and the commission felt like it wasn't really close to what the requirements were, so we passed that back to them, and they're still working it up. So I recommend continuance.
Okay, do I hear a motion to continue to August 12th?
I'll make that motion.
Second. Great. Made by Marilyn, seconded by Dot. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those no?
Abstained.
Abstained by Jim. And also let the record show that Commissioner Franklin is now in attendance. I'll take him over in a few minutes, but I'll do the next one. I will now open a public meeting to discuss the request for determination of applicability for 5 Reed Street submitted by Geneva Corps on behalf of the applicants Russell D. and Ann M. Packer to demolish and rebuild part of the existing home damaged by fire, including the addition of a master bath within 200-foot riverfront area. As this is the first meeting on this proposal, we will now hear an introduction from the applicant if they are in attendance.
I can give one if you like.
Just kidding, we're gonna hear from Matt.
And it is Parker, correct? Not Packer?
Correct. No, Parker.
Yeah.
It says Packer.
Yeah, we had a, it's the builder is, builder is the applicant.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is one that came across from a building permit. When I looked at the building permit, it had a plan, an older plan with it that showed the 200-foot riverfront area of a perennial stream going to about, halfway through the house. There's a section of the house that burned down, and their building permit was to rebuild that section of house, rebuild that section of foundation, and to add a small bump out for a bathroom. So I let them know we needed some form of filing on that. The builder apologized for not, knowing that a filing would be needed, saying he just kind of measured off 100 feet from the house and figured there was nothing there. So we received an RDA and a plan. We did a site visit on July 16th. Again, it's just partial demolition and rebuilding of the existing house after fire damage within the 200-foot riverfront area. Through further conversation with the builder and review, it's unclear whether this is a perennial stream or not. From the commission's standpoint, for an RDA's purposes, I mean, it's in a 200-foot riverfront area regardless, but it's not clear whether it's perennial or not. We had an old plan that shows it as perennial. and it doesn't show up on the USGS map. There was no flow when we were there, but it's been drought for so long that you really can't base it off of that. It has the appearance of, I don't like saying the word ditch, but it has the appearance of something that has been straightened before, or maybe man-made in origin, I'm not sure. It is associated with BBW and other nearby wetlands. It's not clear where it flows from or to. The project, largely is in the outer extent of that 200-foot regardless. It is a pre-existing yard area and structure. It is a historic house, so it's a property that's been developed for a long time. We talked with the builder about site conditions when we got there because he had already done some work on the site, and since then he has stabilized, put out silt fence, that sort of stuff. So we have a stable site now, and I passed along to the developer that the commission may need more information about, how some of the work met the standards of the riverfront area of, our local bylaw and all of that. He wasn't able to get with a wetland scientist before tonight. We have the property owners here tonight. They are obviously anxious to get this moving along through issues with the insurance company and whatnot. I can pull up the plans and everything if my computer is hopefully finally on the internet. But essentially what we have is recreation of what was there before with a small bump out for a master bath that is no closer to the resource areas. So we don't have 100% of the information that we would typically have making a decision on something like this, but I can say that it is largely replacing exactly what was there, and we do now have erosion control place on site that should be protective of that resource area, and we have a stable site. So if you want me to pull up the plan, I can do that. If you want to ask any questions on any of this, let me know. We are way under the maximum impervious surface numbers. It's a very large lot, the majority of which is out of jurisdiction, but there's a large portion of jurisdiction on the property and the only impervious surface within jurisdiction is a small portion of the existing house.
Do we have any questions?
No, I think it's pretty clean.
No questions. Excuse me.
If you want to hear from the property owners, they are here. They can go up to the...
Do they want to?
Yeah.
Sure.
Do you have anything you want to say?
You'd have to go up to the thing and just say your name and address if you do. You don't have to. If you don't want to.
No, that's all right.
Yeah.
That's all right.
It wasn't there.
I'll be honest with you, I'm not much of a speaker, so.
Not many people here are.
No.
You're in good hands.
Well, first of all, my name's Russell Parker. I reside at 5 Reed Street, Kingston. First, I'd like to thank you for taking the time to hear my plight and do the best I can. To be honest with you, the house has been there for 1776. Back then, there wasn't a conservation commission or, no rules and regulations of what had to be done. So, to be honest with you, we weren't really sure about a perennial stream. We've lived there for over 30 years, and I mean, to be honest with you, we had a fire about 17 months ago. We've had arguments with a insurance company trying to get us to, they thought we could build off the first floor. We had experts come in, and it was determined that it couldn't be built safely. And the only alternative, obviously, is demolition. We are keeping basically the same footprint, although there is that just jut out for a master bath. And the reason for that is basically because when it was an antique, there were no rules. So, you know, when people went in there, they'd say, well, these stairways down to the basement are illegal. The stairways going upstairs are illegal. So we had to rearrange all those. Therefore, it wipes out a lot of the space. We needed a bathroom. That's why we had to have the outside addition, so to speak. We just were unaware of, I guess, this perennial stream, as you call it. I'm not sure if it's perennial or if it's intermittent. I've actually taken pictures, you know, today, this morning, after this torrential rain that we had, and fully expected there to be water, standing water in there. I didn't see anything. I can show you the pictures if you'd like. Myself and my contractor, Steve, we're trying everything we can to appease people. We moved a pile of loam, and we moved a pile of stumps and put them as far away as possible. We put down silt fence and we put down wood chips to prevent any type of erosion or silt infiltration. We just, we're willing to do anything that's required of us. We just want to get our lives back together. It's been 17 months and we haven't even been able to demolish the house. And it's a long way to go before we get the house built or anything.
I have the plan up on the screen over here for the commission. This is modified by the builder just to show you have the existing house right here.
The existing kitchen here is, we're gonna be keeping the foundation here, okay? And this will be a new foundation here.
New foundation around this area here, and this is the bump out for the new
That's
master
correct.
bath here. Your dotted line here is the extent of the 200-foot riverfront area. Whether it's perennial or not, under the local, you'd still have that. It's just the regulations would be different. And this right here is the silt fence limit of work right here. So silt fence, and then you had wood chips in here to cover some of the area that was already disturbed.
Right along the road, the wood chips, and
And I did recommend along the road as well to keep anything from coming out into the street. So the builder now has done what I asked in terms of making the site stable, and the work rebuilding exactly what was there would clearly meet all the regulations. The only part that's not 100% clear would be the addition of the other portion of it, but as far as I'm concerned, it probably would. It's, you know, it's, like I said, a small area that was already legally, you know, landscaped lawn area for
It's not pristine.
250 years. So it's something that, while it's outside of the way the commission typically does business, I believe probably fine, given that we do have now proper erosion control, site stability, and I can be checking up on the site through construction. It's something that the builder should have filed with the commission a year ago, so that you're not feeling like you have to rush your process,
Right.
because, you know, obviously you feel for the homeowner that's going through with the insurance company, but given where we are now, I don't think there's any issue if the commission wanted to issue a permit. You don't have to. You can continue it. We can get more information from them on, you know, whether this fully meets the standards, but I believe it likely does.
Mayor?
Yeah.
Just for our understanding, could you maybe go up and show us where the grass is existing now?
yeah, sure. So, there's a patio here. This is right along here was a flower bed, okay? And all this out here is grass. It's tough to say. This is all grass down here. The grass actually goes all the way down to the stream.
So it's
and-
grassland from the house to the stream?
Excuse me?
Grass from the house to the stream?
Yeah, pretty much.
That's fine.
You
I
know, it
understand.
does slope down a little bit, you know.
Sure.
And what he's done is he's put down the silt fence 100 feet before the stream. and to prevent anything from possibly happening when, you know, they dig up the house and put in a new foundation. Like I said,
If you have an area,
we're
because I think
perfectly
that
willing
would answer all the
to
questions.
do whatever you'd like.
No, it's fine. I just want to visually see it so I can say I looked at
Yeah,
it.
so, I mean, it goes out quite a ways, so, where's the stream here? Is this the stream?
No,
That's the
That's the silt fence, so what is this, the stream?
that's probably the stream there.
Okay, so, yeah, basically, it goes right down, this is all lawn here. There are, you know, maybe a couple apple trees here, there was a row of bushes here. And up here is just, you know, this was all, oh, sorry,
Sorry, I'm gonna pull up the,
is this like the weather where you get the
Yeah.
green, I'm supposed to point it, no?
just to get these things out of the way.
Okay,
So you have the house
so,
here.
yeah, this is the house, this comes down, the stream must be, is this the property line?
Oops, sorry. It's hard to manipulate this on this laptop. So the yellow is the property line.
Okay.
This right here is the portion of the house that's gonna be rebuilt, and
Right,
your stream
exactly.
is
And
down.
this part is the kitchen. You know, the roof and the walls will come down, but the foundation itself on the kitchen will remain. This will be demolition here. So this is all lawn down here. I mean, it doesn't look like it because you got the trees, but it actually comes down, where's this, is the stream here?
So you can kind of see here, the shadowing is going to the north here, but you can see the lawn comes down to about here. And the closer you get to the
This-
stream,
yeah,
we're not
this is
talking
all
about
lawn up
turf.
here.
We're talking like just mowing of, you know, all the plants and everything. So it is a little bit more natural towards there, which is good. It provides a little more buffer for the stream.
And this over here, so that we have the detached garage, and then there's a shed, and then this is just a giant vegetable garden. And
This
these are
right
just
here is the
different
location
beds.
of the addition. This is like the
And so
master
the
here.
fence must be, assuming,
Silt fence goes right around here, basically
okay,
around
so
the
then
tree
the
line.
stream must be about here. Because it's pretty close to the border, is that correct?
I could pretty much show you exactly where it is off a measurement here. Measuring from here. Stream is right about here.
Okay.
So it runs this way. It comes out of Reed Street and goes
Right,
down
and
to the
so
southwest.
it actually, there's, I believe, a culvert that goes underneath 27, and then it comes through this part here, and then there's another culvert that goes under Reed Street. If you need, I can show you pictures, I took pictures this morning.
No, this satisfies my inquiry.
Yeah, and I do have pictures from the site visit if anybody wants to see anything in particular, but you've probably already seen it.
So Matt, it sounds like this would be a -3 DOA.
Yeah.
Does anyone have any comments?
No, I'm ready.
No, we're ready.
You might consider, you know, if you were gonna issue a -3, you'd probably put special conditions on it, just mandating that they maintain ESC and, you know, erosion, any
The erosion
site
controls,
conditions
right.
throughout, which really doesn't, it's an enforcement issue anyways, but it would probably help get the point across to the builder.
Right.
But we, you know, we talked about it already, he's already taken steps, just to make sure.
But just to have the language on it.
All right. I'll make a motion to issue a -3 DOA with special conditions as described.
I'll second.
Made by Jim, seconded by Brian. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No? Abstains? All right, motion passes. Jim, can take over now.
Thank you.
We'll be in touch
What does
tomorrow.
this mean?
It means you're good.
That's
Okay.
good?
Yeah. It sounds bad, but it's good.
It's just a
Thank you very
process.
much.
Yes.
We'll be in touch tomorrow, we'll explain everything.
Okay.
All right, so for the record, we issued a -3 DOA with special conditions as described. That motion was from Jim and seconded by Brian. It was 5-0 to 0. We'll move on. It's supposed to be
You're all set.
Thank you very much.
You're all
Yeah,
set.
well, Thank you very
You're all
much.
good.
Yeah.
Appreciate you hearing me.
Thank you
course.
so much.
Sorry for the speaking.
No,
You did fine.
Is that clock right? We're at
Yeah.
6:53, so we gotta move to public
Yeah.
hearings?
Yeah.
Excuse me, we're willing and able to do anything.
Oh, no, you're
to
good.
Get us to build the house.
You're good. You just
Yeah.
got exactly what you needed.
Yep.
Okay?
Yeah, I'll send you an email tomorrow. I'll
Yeah.
explain how everything will work.
Yep.
You'll be in good shape.
Thank you all.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah.
Well, good luck with you.
Thank
Sorry you had to go through that.
We get our lives back together.
I hope it goes quickly.
Yes, good luck.
Thank you very much.
Have a good one.
All right, we're gonna move on to public hearing. Section A, 74 Ring Road, map 61, lot 32, notice of intent. I will now open a hearing for the notice of intent submitted by Collins Civil Engineering Group LLC on behalf of the applicant, Patrick Ryan, for a septic system upgrade for a residential home within the 100-foot buffer zone to inland wetland resources areas at 74 Ring Road. Where this is the first meeting on this proposal, we'll hear from the, hear an introduction from the applicant.
Yep, we have George Collins online.
All right, Ms. Collins, please unmute yourself, identify yourself, name and address for the record, and then please proceed.
Yes, my name's George Collins, registered professional engineer from Collins Civil Engineering Group out of West Bridgewater. Representing Patrick Ryan for a notice of intent associated with the replacement of an existing septic system. The project has been issued DEP file number 37-976. And if you'd like, I can share my screen and
Please.
go over some specifics or whatever the chair would like.
Please.
Let's see here. Can you enable sharing, or unless you wanted to bring up something that the plan that I already submitted?
I think is it not enabled?
Oh, okay, here, wait a second, I think I'm
It
here.
usually is.
Here we go. Share.
It's been a weird day, you never know.
Can anybody see that?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, so basically, this is Ring Road, the property's on the east side of Ring Road. This is the house here. There's a bordering vegetated wetland shown in green that
Can you
wraps
zoom
it
that
up.
in a little bit so that
I'm zooming, okay, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
you can just get past the details and
Okay,
that's good.
okay, there we go. Yeah, so again, so we have a bordering vegetated wetland that wraps around the property. The 30-foot no disturb zone is shown in red. The magenta line is the 50-foot buffer, and then the green line is the 100-foot buffer zone. So as you can see, the entire properties essentially in jurisdiction with the exception of the small area up here by the street. Currently, there's a failed septic system in the backyard right here. And what we did is, this is actually this is the driveway. This is, so the new septic system's actually going under the driveway. We dug 2 test holes. It was really good sandy soils, and we were able to set this up. So we rerouted the plumbing, come out the side of the house. We were able to actually place the new septic tank outside of the 50-foot jurisdiction, 50-foot buffer. And then we have the actual septic system, again, under the driveway, also outside the 50-foot buffer zone. The system meets all the state Title V requirements. It is my understanding, I do realize that there is the town has a 100-foot requirement, in particular for new construction, to make sure that all the septic components are outside of the 100, but obviously this is an existing property, and the entire site is within the 100-foot jurisdiction, essentially. This orange line is the proposed erosion control. And so basically, I believe that we're presenting something that is very reasonable, and we meet all the state requirements, but due to the pre-existing non-conforming conditions, we're not able to meet the 100-foot setback requirement. I'd be more than happy to answer any questions that the board may have at this time.
All right, we'll open it up for discussion. Matt, do you wanna start off?
Sure. Yeah, I might repeat some of what he just said, but we have a buffer zone only project involving the replacement of a failed septic system. The existing system consists of a tank and leaching pit entirely within 50 feet of BVW and at least as close as 25 feet. The replacement system is proposed in a different part of the property underneath a paved driveway outside of the 50-foot BVW setback. The proposal also increases the distance between the system and groundwater. It uses precast concrete leaching chambers. BOH has approved the project under Title V with a mandated deed restriction. So the existing house is 2-bedroom, and it is deed restricted now, and that is recorded with that it will stay a 2-bedroom. Failed systems proposed to be abandoned and filled in. For the record, the wetlands report says there's an off-site vernal pool to the north, but I see no evidence of that on GIS, only to the west off of Milliken Drive. When I looked at the area around flags 6 through 2, which is this finger up here, I initially thought that could potentially be a vernal pool, but then as you walk down into it, you see it is connected to the rest of the wetland around. And while connection doesn't mean it's not a vernal pool, it didn't jump out to me that that was likely a vernal pool. It didn't seem to have that confined basin characteristic. So it may hold standing water in that small area seasonally, but I didn't have anything that jumped out as, that would definitely be a vernal pool, or highly likely be a vernal pool. There is intact vegetated buffer between those wetland flags and the driveway, though there was a pile of dumped landscape debris along an informal trail that should be cleaned up. Conservation posts in that area might help prevent further dumping or encroachment. Straw wattle and street sweeping are proposed as erosion and sedimentation controls. At the site visit, I explained that the commission would probably want to see 12-inch silt sock in place of the wattle, given the amount of disturbance that you'll see back there. For the record also, the applicant says the proposal is an upgrade of the septic system, but explained that's only as it relates to the language found in Title V. For the commission's purposes, this appears to be simple replacement of a failed existing system without increasing flow. So with the recorded deed restriction and the moving of the components further from the wetlands and increasing distance to groundwater, the project appears to meet the standards of KWPR 10.02B2, where it says that the minimum 100-foot setback requirement shall not be required when a replacement system is necessary, provided that no alternative location is available on the lot or other parcel under the ownership or control of the owner of the system proposed for upgrade, and that the system is placed as far as possible from the wetland resource areas. And it also meets the standard under 3, where it says, should a replacement system also constitute a substantial enlargement and increase in flow from expanded use of the existing system, the commission may require that the minimum 100-foot setback distance be observed. In this case, again, there appears to be no increase in flow. If you have concerns about the potential for BOH to dissolve the deed restriction, which I think they'd be unlikely to do, you may consider a perpetual condition stating that any addition of bedrooms or other construction or activity that could cause an increase in flow to the system must be reviewed by the Conservation Commission through an official filing. Through that filing, the commission would likely require alternative technology treatment because I think the commission understands that that is the best case scenario for replacing a septic system would be that you would use something that has more treatment to protect the wetlands. But the commission, I think, in a lot of cases like this, would lack the legal backing to force somebody to do that. So, any questions for me?
Might have some when we come back. Let's open it up for discussion. If anybody has any questions that they'd like to go, all right, I'll get started. So I just had some questions specifically to the location of the new tank and field. So some of the language that we just heard indicated that this is supposed to achieve a certain setback. Where it's a failed system, there's an exemption to that rule, if there's no increases, right? So I have two concerns. One, it's the deed restriction, because deed restrictions can get removed. So I would like to see something a little bit more secure on that avenue. And then I would like a clarification as far as alternative design of discussing the placement of the system, because looking at what we see, it looks like we could probably get to the opposite side of the house, and I'd like to hear why we're not doing that from the engineer, so. Mr. Collins?
Basically, we would try, this location over here is heavily wooded. So rather than taking down a bunch of trees over in this location and still not meeting the 100-foot requirement, we basically put the system under the existing driveway, just again, so we would not have to do any tree removal.
Okay.
I thought also when we talked on the site with one of the other engineers about the well being there.
There's
Now
a
on the
well.
plan, it says existing well not in use. Yeah, it's right here. on the
Is there
left-hand
a well
side.
in use, or is it?
It says not in use, but it's
it's-
still a
it's-
well there, so I thought, sorry, I didn't really push too hard on that. For those two purposes, was the well and the fact that there were mature native trees all along that side.
They would like to maintain the ability to use that for irrigation, and under Title V, you do need a 25-foot setback if they did want to, use that in the future for irrigation. And again, there's a 25-foot setback
Mr. Collins,
requirement.
could you just point out, I didn't see the well.
Right in this corner, that's an existing. So basically, that was the original water source for the property. And what they did is they bypassed it and put in town water, but the well is still there and intact.
Okay, that right there, that answers my question as far as location, so. Matt?
No, just sort of bringing up again the conservation posts. I think putting conservation posts at the existing wood line, particularly where, it's along the side of this finger of wetlands over here where we saw the dumping, and the little trail would be beneficial, but I mean, it could stretch along the entire woods line on the property to protect the existing vegetated buffer. And I think that would be something that would be long-term beneficial and make this pretty easy.
And what's the resource area behind the flags?
BVW,
Okay. No streams back there close or anything?
not close enough to the project that I could tell, no.
Are there any questions from Matt or the engineer? No?
No, but just, and then Matt mentioned a couple things earlier. We did change the erosion control detail to 12-inch wattle. And then the plan does show the removal of some construction materials and these are items that were brought up during the site visit that we actually have amended the plan.
Okay, just for clarification on two things, that was 12-inch wattle or 12-inch silt sock?
Sorry, let me see here. My current detail calls out wattle, straw wattle, but obviously if we can absolutely change that to silt sock, if that's what you'd prefer.
Yeah, so I think we could put, just as a special condition, 12-inch silt sock, but it would be good to put it on the plan just so that if a contractor gets it, they don't do the wrong thing, and then they're mad at me when I make them put silt sock
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, I can add that to the plan, and I do know who the contractor that's doing the work has been selected, so I can actually
Okay.
also get him in the loop immediately.
And then the dumping that I saw was, or some of the sort of landscape debris that I saw dumped was closer to wetland flags 2 and 3.
Up in this area.
Yeah. So if the commission has no concerns and they think they could issue orders of conditions on this, my recommendation would be special conditions being the language that I mentioned, supporting the deed restriction, the requirement for 12-inch silt sock as ESC, the removal of all dumped landscape debris, and conservation posts in perpetuity along the edge of the existing yard/lawn where it faces the BBW.
I'll make that
Okay,
motion.
so we're ready to close the
Well,
hearing?
we gotta close the, let's just go through the special conditions first.
Oh, I thought he just did.
Well, he just gave us what he wanted. Is there any, do we have any other feedback from Ed on that? Okay. All right, are we pretty confident that we're ready to close the meeting, and take a vote? Okay.
So,
Do I hear a motion to close the
I
meeting?
move that we close the hearing.
All right, so we have a motion by Marilyn, second by Dot. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? All right, so we close the meeting, 5-0. Now do I hear a motion?
So I would make the motion that we approve the project with the special conditions mentioned, and do you want me to run through them again, or? are we-
No, it was,
Okay.
I mean, it was recorded, so. Okay, so we have a motion from Marilyn to issue, to approve the NOI, issue the permit with the special conditions as stated. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by
Mr.
Brian.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I'm not, just procedurally, are we supposed to, just to make sure that nobody in the public has any questions or comments?
It's probably a good.
That is
Yeah.
true, we didn't do
Yeah,
that, did
we
we?
didn't open it to the public.
We're gonna step back for a moment and open to the public hearing, open to the public. Does anybody wants to be heard on this? Please come forward. Raise your
We have a
hand.
raised hand online from Pine Dubois.
Pine?
Hi there, I thank the engineer. I just can't, it's hard to read the plans online. I don't know what the elevation of the leaching field is or what kind it is. I'm just concerned that the water table looks like it's at about elevation 45 and a half or something like that. So I was just concerned about whether the stone is sufficient. I can't say that I've, evaluated it at all, but I would ask the commission to take a look at that. I very much like the restriction on the bedrooms. I think that's really important, and I would maybe even suggest that, maintaining that tree buffer would also be something that the commission could request in its order of conditions. Thanks. It looks like everything is going to either Barris Brook or Jones River Brook, and it's feeding Cranberry Bog, so I think the level of nutrients is important.
Just based on what I could see, there was a comment about 4 feet separation between the lower extent of the leaching field stone, and then there was a bed of stone and then the leaching field above it, but I'll let the engineer discuss that.
Yes, so we do have 4.5 feet of separation, and I'm sorry, where is it? We have 4.2 feet of separation, 4 feet is required. And I apologize, the current plan does call out a 12-inch diameter silt sock, so I was mistaken. The plan revised 6/19/26, which should be the current plan of record, does call out the silt sock. I apologize, so I was incorrect when I said straw wattle.
All right, I might need to have you send me that again. I'll double check and see if we have that on file. I thought the latest one that I had didn't have it yet. But either way, we'll throw it in there as a special condition just to make sure.
Okay, great, thank you. Yeah, and the contractor does have this current plan, but I'll reiterate it with him.
Okay, is there any other comments from the public, aside from what Pine had to ask? All right, so Pine's question to us, I believe, was based on the height, the depth of the system. It's above the 4 feet required, and this is a replacement system, so I don't know that there's much more that can be done on that side of it. Does anybody have any questions on that? Okay.
And you were, or to her second point, already putting in conservation posts along the existing woods line. Now, I was not talking about on the, I would say, southwestern side of the property, closer to the existing well. I was just putting that along the portion as it faces the BBW. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So along the edge of the cleared area next to the driveway, and then along the backyard, leading down to the southwest. I was not bringing anything up towards Ring Road. I think that makes
You mean
sense,
just
right?
another leg of it?
Yeah, I wasn't bringing anything
Right.
up towards,
You were L-shaped, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's L-shaped versus
Right.
U-shaped.
That makes sense,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
Yep, okay.
That works for me.
Is there anyone else that would like to be heard? All right, so we're gonna close, we're gonna take a, we're gonna have a motion to close again.
Again?
We'll do it clean.
Okay, motion to close.
All right, motion by Marilyn, second by
Second.
Brian. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? That motion carries to close, 5-0. Now perhaps you'd like to remake your motion.
So motion to approve with special conditions as stated?
Okay, so we have a motion to approve the NOI, issue the permit with special conditions as discussed by Marilyn.
Second.
Seconded by Brian. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained. All right, that motion carries 5-0 to issue the permit. All right.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Matt, for your guidance. And just a quick question, when do you think the order of conditions would actually be issued, just out of curiosity?
So it'll be prepared for the commission to sign at their next meeting, which is the second Wednesday in August, which is the 12th.
Okay,
If
thank
that's
you
a-
very much.
If that's a hardship, shoot us an email and we'll try to speed it up. But that's typically, especially because we have 3 weeks now in between meetings. So if that's a hardship, let me know. I can see what I can do.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Okay.
Good
All
night.
right, we will move on to section B, 18 Smith's Lane, map 67, lot 82-1. This is a notice of intent. I will now continue a hearing for the notice of intent submitted by South Shore Survey on behalf of the applicant, Ronald Vernazaro, for the proposed construction of a single-family house and associated utilities within the 100-foot buffer zone to an inland wetland resource area and the 200-foot riverfront area at 18 Smith's Lane. Matt says the applicant has requested a continuance to August 12th.
Yes.
Okay, do I hear a motion to continue?
So,
All right, we'll have a motion by Megan, a second by
Second.
Brian. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained. All right, so we will continue on August 12th, 5-0. All right, move to section C. This is Drew and Seaver Avenues, notice of intent. Sorry. I will now open a hearing for the notice of intent submitted by Strong Tree Engineering on behalf of the applicant, the town of Kingston, for the construction of stormwater improvements to collect, treat, attenuate stormwater runoff which lands within land subject to coastal storm flowage and various buffer zones to coastal wetland resource areas in the roadways of Drew and Seaver Aves. Matt, as this is the first meeting, are we gonna hear a proposal from the applicant?
Yeah, we have, well, I guess I am the applicant, but we have our engineer, Justin Lamoureux, here,
Thank
ready to present.
Justin Lamoureux, Strong Tree Engineering, for the applicant, the Kingston Conservation. So the project wouldn't even be in front of you if it wasn't for the hard work of your conservation department, who was able to get the grant from CZM to do this project. So it is a great project. Just so we get situated, we have Delano Ave to the south, we have Rocky Nook Point to the north. The resources that we have that associate with the Rocky Nook Point are coastal beach, salt marsh, tidal flats, and land subject to coastal storm flowage. Our project was to mitigate stormwater on Drew and Seaver Avenue, both finger roads that head north off of Delano. The approach, they're both about 600 feet in length, so the approach was to break that up into 300-foot drainage areas, which is a standard for stormwater collection. So we have two types of stormwater systems that we're proposing. The upper regions are going to be inlets, so catch basins to collect stormwater.
Which page are you on?
I'm on C3.
There we go.
Yep, so drop inlets on both sides of the road. We do have water and sewer in the road, so going deep in this area makes it difficult. So we're gonna go with drop inlets to water quality structures. So all of our treatment will happen in the water quality structure, which is downstream from the catch basins. And then we have underground recharge chambers, so concrete chambers with stone. So pretty standard stormwater. We do have a high-end hydrodynamic separator, which is the water quality. And that's for both systems, and that's approximately 300 feet from Rocky Nook upstream. Down at the ends of the streets, we have some pavement, some extra pavement that we're removing, and we're gonna put some stepped bioretention systems similar to the Delano, the systems that were installed over there. These will accept runoff. Currently, runoff just flows untreated right to the bay. So they'll accept runoff of 4 bays to collect trash and debris and sediment. They'll overflow then into cells. There is a good gradient along the roadway. So we have some stepped cells, which we're accomplishing with curb to maximize surface area for these bioretentions. Both systems do have overflow recharge to get even more storage for the systems and more treatment. The upstreams are sized for the 2-year storm. They'll fully so 3.5 inch rainstorm. The downstreams are sized for the water quality storm, so the first inch of runoff over impervious. And then they will overflow up to the 100-year, control up to the 100-year. They're designed to control the 100-year with weirs in the curb from upstream from the entire drainage area, which includes portions of Delano. We have native plants. We have some beach grass, blue stem, various native plants that will be in the bioretention. We have some stone overflows just to control velocities. And then we have erosion control silt sock around the limit of work. So I'm happy to answer any questions.
Matt,
I think also we have on both of these, and maybe I think it shows it better on a different sheet, but we had a walkway past each one to maintain the existing path to the existing. We're not changing the steps on either one of these, right? Even on Drew, we're not changing the steps. It ends at the top of the steps.
Correct.
So you still, both streets have access steps that are just within the old road layout put in by somebody decades or, whatever ago. And we're gonna, this has been designed to basically, I believe it's grass, right? It's gonna be, right now you have grass that comes up to the road. That's within the road layout. I believe the plan is to have grass next to the stormwater feature with plants separating that grass walkway so people aren't walking in the stormwater feature, and then some sort of shrubs on the other side to sort of separate from someone's yard. Is that accurate?
Exactly. I think with our discussion with CCM, they wanted it distinguished with plantings, so the walkway will have plantings along it.
Yeah.
Obviously native plantings that tolerate salt.
And then I did have somebody come into the office today with concerns about maintaining access over time, not losing access completely. I know when the Delano, I think it's Delano. Somebody. All right,
not
see,
Delano?
he's not a Kingston guy.
Sorry.
I'm almost a Kingston person at this point. I think it's Delano. When the Delano BMP was done, the area residents didn't like the change in access. It had gone from a ramp to a set of stairs. The stairs weren't something that were really stable, and over time had degraded. We were able to fix that with earmark money from the state and put a iron handrail in, and I think that goes a long way. I mean, people still aren't, I wouldn't say every single person is entirely happy with it still, but it makes it a lot more stable just to be able to hold on to something on the way down. These stairs, I don't know that the town's gonna be maintaining the stairs any more than they do now, which is we don't.
Yeah.
And if we can include some version of a handrail in there, I think some people would be happy with that. It's just a matter of whether or not then that becomes something that means that we own the stairs and we maintain them with, I don't know. But it's something worth thinking about, that at least with a set of handrails on these, it makes it more stable for people, and then it's less concerning, the condition of the steps over time.
Yeah. Currently, there's no proposed change to the granite
Right.
steps, but
Yeah, granite on one, and the other one is concrete.
Yep.
Yeah, Seaver is concrete. Yeah, so I can really quickly go through, say that we have sort of a mix here. We have some improvements proposed out of jurisdiction. As Justin said, the initial infiltration is happening pretty much halfway up the road, which is good. Right now, there's nothing on either street to control any stormwater whatsoever. So anything that is in anybody's yard or in the road, any oils, fertilizers, dog waste, anything, just gets out into the bay quickly. Very site limited here. We really just have the road layout, that's it. We did send out mailers just seeing if anybody was interested in talking about an easement or something, and didn't get any takers. So we were very limited in the space, and as Justin mentioned, the depth. So this isn't a system that's going to infiltrate massive storms. What it's gonna do is, particularly with smaller storms, it's gonna infiltrate the first flush, which contains the majority of the bad stuff. And also provide, like he said, control measures for the larger storms, so you're not just getting erosion, you're having a controlled release, which is good. 2 trees do have to be removed as part of this project. One of them is a Norway maple, which is not a desirable species. It is not a long-lived species, but I'm sure the person who lives next to it and is, getting some shade from it might not like that. It is within the road layout, and it is right down by the coastal bank. Similarly, on Drew Avenue, there's a eastern red cedar in almost the same location that will need to come out as part of this project. So not ever really good removing trees, particularly on the coastal bank, but with the benefit of this project and the amount of native plants that are going to be replacing them, and things that stay relatively short and not necessarily damaging to the coastal bank if they were to tip over. Overall, I would say a benefit, but there is potential that, we could always replace a tree with something that could grow up higher if somebody wanted that. Proposed work will decrease impervious surface within jurisdiction by approximately 31 square feet at the end of Drew Avenue and approximately 314 square feet at the end of Seaver Avenue. It will be an overall benefit to Kingston Bay. Currently, untreated stormwater flows down both streets directly into the bay, carrying trash, sediment, and other pollutants with it. Proposed improvements will remove these pollutants before stormwater reaches the bay, constituting a significant improvement over existing conditions. 12-inch diameter silt sock is proposed for erosion and sedimentation control between the work area and the bay. Proposed work appears to meet the standards of KWPR relevant to land subject to coastal storm flowage by decreasing floodwater velocity and volume, and by attenuating and infiltrating stormwater runoff. And because it will improve the ability of that land subject to coastal storm flowage to prevent pollution through filtration and infiltration. It appears to meet most of the standards of KWPR related to stormwater systems. Obviously, we don't have the 40 feet to stormwater systems, but there needs to be a stormwater system here, and there isn't one. So we don't have an O&M plan yet, but it will be submitted before a COC is issued on this. And this, we've already heard from Justin about the sizing of it, which does meet all of our regulations as well. The last thing we sent out 300-foot abutter notifications on this. If everybody remembers, when the bylaw was redone a couple of years ago at town meeting, it called for 300-foot abutter notifications, but our regulations still say 100 feet. So we haven't updated that. We've only been requiring 100 feet since we haven't made that change yet. But with this, because it's our project and because it was on Rocky Nook and there would be big changes in there, I felt like we should send out as many notifications as possible. For people who live directly next to these stormwater features that are down by the coastal bank, there will be changes. Most of this area, they're really tight lots, and a lot of people's yard is in the road layout. So the good thing is, for the most of the street, there's not going to be disturbance at all, But in the areas where there will be disturbance, there may be situations where somebody might lose lawn space, somebody might lose a parking spot. If the parking space has been within the road layout, and in both of these situations, we have barriers at the end of the road to prevent somebody from driving into the BMPs, driving into the bioretention areas. So there will be, basically, the end of the road is being moved closer to the upland there, just by way of needing to protect what's being built there. And we did discuss this with the highway department as well, because for storm purposes in the winter, they won't be able to plow all the way down the street to the bay, which isn't ideal anyways for, water quality purposes. We don't like snow being dumped directly in the bay or plowed directly in the bay. But essentially what they said is that there isn't a better way to do what we proposed, and they can work with it. They said this past winter it would have been difficult based on the amount of snow we got. Most winters we don't get that much snow. They said if they have to send a machine down there to scoop snow and get it out of there, they'll do that. So I think we've sort of covered every angle of this. It meets all of our regulations and WPA. It may be disturbing to some of the neighbors. We've put as much notification out there as we can. We've had a few people reach out, and we'll keep interacting with people throughout the process just to see if we can keep as many people happy as possible while still being able to get the project done.
We'll open up the commission. Any comments or questions for either the engineer, Justin, or Matt on the presentation of this?
Several of us had an opportunity to go on the site walk yesterday and see the layout and have it really explained, and it looks like a good improvement.
It's pretty tight down there.
Yes, streets are tight. We'll open up to public comment. If there's anybody who has any questions or would like to be heard on this, please step up, identify yourself. Nope, just.
You just gotta go to the mic.
There's a microphone, sorry. Name and address, please.
Gene Sullivan, 22 Delano Ave. My concern is, first of all, why were those two specific sites proposed? Why were they looked at first for grants when there's a major stormwater issue on Cedar Street, which is 100 feet from where you people looked from Seaver and Drew? The road's being eaten up, and I'm sure all the construction trucks that are going to be doing this project, like every other construction truck that does any work down in that part of the Nook, goes down Cedar Street and tears up that street. And right now, it's probably the biggest stormwater issue in Kingston. There's a swimming pool in front of 16 Cedar Street right now, which isn't being addressed. It's been there for years. You guys put a sewer project, a major sewer construction project there. You regraded the street so the water just sits in a 50-foot area. There's no catch basins, there's no storm drains. You people keep telling the people that live there that they're in charge of fixing this street that everybody in Kingston uses. It's not a private, they consider it a private way with public access, but this is not a dead-end street. This is a major throughway where fire trucks, no one can back up. If they go down Seaver Street, they have to come down Cedar Street, go up Delano, back down Cedar Street, Drew Ave, Seaver Ave, all the streets there. Any fire truck, ambulance that hits that part of the Nook goes up Cedar Street because they can't back up Delano, so they have to go that way. The street is torn up. I have pictures of it right now.
I'm pretty familiar with it.
Right, you guys were there last night.
And I can answer your question.
Everyone just says, well, it's a public way, too bad for you people, but the town I worked for Boston Water for 35 years, and if we did a construction project on a street, we would make sure that it doesn't drain into private property. You have to put catch basins, storm drains.
All right. Let's just pause
But
on
like
that.
my thing is the
Nope,
construction
hang on
trucks.
one sec. We're gonna ask for a response to your first part of the question, because we don't want to bury everything. We want to
Sure.
go in a linear fashion. So, Matt, could you respond? And for my benefit, do we have any, I don't recall anything that we were involved with on Cedar Street, and if I'm wrong, just.
No, I think what he's saying is it was a sewer project, so it would have been,
The term was you people, and I just
yeah, I
want to
get
make sure it
it,
wasn't
town,
me.
I get it,
It's
town
town
employees.
sewer project.
So we had residents of Drew and Seaver Ave reach out about stormwater issues. Their concern mainly was the scouring down the end of the stairs and the beach and that sort of stuff. But from my standpoint, a lot of what we do is trying to retrofit stormwater issues around town and make sure you get treatment. So when we looked into it, realized there was nothing there for treatment and that it would make a good site for grant-funded work like this, I started looking at it, and what I ran into was some of the adjacent streets that we could have also done were not public. Similar to Cedar Street, Adams Ave is right next to these, and it's a private road. So I can only apply for grants and do projects on public streets.
So it's Cedar Street,
You-
nope, sorry.
You have to get up there too.
Nope.
Yeah.
Keep this very, very linear, or else it just goes to pot, right? So Cedar Street is a private right away?
That's my understanding. And the way this stuff goes, because I'm no expert on roads and what is and isn't, is I ask the highway superintendent or the town planner, usually like a list of streets, let's say, and I'll say which one of these is public, which one of these is private. You're 100% right on Cedar Street. It is. I've driven through that
Right.
a handful of times, and I've been there when it's a big rainstorm, and
Well, right now,
it is precarious.
I know you went by last night because I
Yeah.
saw your two vehicles checking out.
Yep,
And
very
I saw
slowly.
your vehicles go through the bump that you went through when you went in
Yep.
front of Cedar Street. You had to slow down or you'd break your axle.
Exactly.
Just so we're clear, this is Conservation Commission.
I
So
hear
we
you, but-
stay in 8 lane, Highway Department.
Well, it's really not. It's a
Well, wait, you're
stormwater issue that the town created.
Well, the project here is a stormwater issue that we're
Right, but-
talking
and they're
about.
gonna
But
be
Cedar Street
using-
is not something we're talking
But for
about
their
tonight.
vehicles to do that stormwater project on Drew and Seaver, they're gonna be tearing up Cedar Street because it's the only way that those major vehicles can come.
Because they can't make the
They
tight
can't make
turn
the
onto
turn. They
Seaver
have to
and
cut
Drew.
down, so.
Okay, so this is a
It's-
road
it's-
access question.
Correct, and that's why Cedar Street is, no matter what you do, it's getting torn up, because I have pictures of 10-wheelers constantly going down there. Anyone that does any kind of project in that part of the Nook has to use Cedar Street. So for the town to say it's a private way is just ridiculous.
Well, from a
But they should have
town
taken.
standpoint, strictly from how all of the town's regulations and everything works, it is a private road. But what I can do is, this is a project that we're gonna get grant funded. It might require a match funding of 10% or something along those lines usually. But what we try to do now is we get the permit from the Conservation Commission, and then we go to the next round of CZM funding and say, will you pay for this project now? And what I can try to do, since what you're saying is likely accurate, that a lot of these bigger vehicles that are taking
All of them.
material in and out of here are gonna have to go around and through Drew. Maybe there's a way that they can make repairs to Cedar Street at this close of the project. I can't guarantee that,
Well,
but I
then-
can look into it.
Why should they be allowed to use Cedar Street?
It's
Right,
open
because
for
you
them
can-
to drive through. Like I said, it's a
Right,
private
because
road.
it's a private
but
road with a public
Yeah.
access, so you're hiding behind.
I'm not hiding behind
We're not-
anything.
We're not gonna do this like
Well,
this.
but-
We're gonna be respectful of one another.
What I'm saying is I'll try to help a solution to a problem if possible, but I can't guarantee that I can fix the problem.
All right, so we talked about the access. Is there another, and I think you got an explanation.
Well, my
Nope,
thing is
let me
too-
finish, please. Okay, we don't talk over you. I don't talk over you, you don't talk over me. We have the access issue that you'd like to hear more on. You also asked about the location, and you received an answer. Did that satisfy your inquiry?
Well, I guess that's about as far as we're gonna go tonight anyway, I would assume, right? But my thing also is, if you go over the other side, the RD9, when they did the sewer project over there were catch basins everywhere. And I think there was people from CDM, is that? who-
CDM Smith, yeah.
who came out originally and looked at the issue in front of Cedar Street. It was two women, and they were shocked that the town wasn't correcting the stormwater issue before they, they expressed to my wife, this is, no one's looking at this. And they never come back to the town.
Just for my
and didn't
clarity,
say anything.
this meaning what? Specific.
The stormwater issue.
If you have to, okay? There's, people who listen can't hear because there's only one microphone, okay?
And my other issue is I'm listening to Find a Boy, and I'm sure everyone's concerned about issues with septic systems and all that, but there were people that live right on Cedar Street that came to the town with emails and everything concerned about these issues when they were paving the road and doing the sewer construction, and no one did anything. And you're talking about people not being able to cut a tree down, and you have people that live with swimming pool in their street, and no one ever did anything about it. And now you're gonna have all these construction trucks, and it's daily business that everybody uses this street. And I don't see why the people that live there should be responsible to maintain a street that everyone's using.
All right.
But that's my.
It's
you know,
been
I know I'm
noted.
getting off,
Yeah.
but
What I don't want to do is I don't want to pretend that we're in a different lane than we are, okay? You have a legitimate discussion with highway, that's.
Well,
We've
it's
been
storm,
there.
and it's a stormwater, and Amanda Sullivan, 22 Delano Ave. And I spoke to, it was two women is it CZM or, that came down, it was a couple of years ago, and I brought them over, and they might have given me their cards, I don't know, but after I spoke to them, they were quite surprised at how bad the road looked, all the water that was there, and that they were gonna go back to their office to see if the town was gonna, be looking at other streets, and if that was gonna be a street that was gonna be addressed. That's all I can tell you.
Perhaps that's something that you could follow up with.
Yeah, because we've heard, when we've had a meeting before with Mr. Hickey, the town administrator, he was saying how it's a private road, but a public way, which I find very confusing, going, how can it be both? And is that something that you could look at as far as getting grant money for a public way? I mean, I don't know.
I don't
But-
think so, but I can look into it.
Okay, thanks, Matt, that would be great.
All right, is anybody else like to be heard on this?
Can't
think you
see
have
if
it
anybody's
here
got their
online.
hand
I
up.
might have
I didn't.
Can I just ask one more? Is there someone that does, I know the state requires the towns to have a stormwater department or someone in charge of stormwater. Kingston doesn't have a stormwater because the highway.
Essentially, that's my department, yeah.
Mhm. Right, and I see that when you put out statements about trying to correct areas for stormwater, it's a public health issue. You're putting all this stuff, well, there's a major public health issue right in front of you, 365 days of the year. Crickets,
It's the private road part.
All right, thank you.
And the highway guy said we paved the road to drain into a private property. It seems like everyone's walking around with blindfolds on this issue. But I appreciate it.
We have a
I didn't know
lane.
where else to go, tell you, and
I understand.
saw there was a stormwater.
I hear you.
Thought I'd bring in.
Thank you, guys, I appreciate it.
Thanks, thank you.
Have a good night.
That would be the only, night, thank you.
Is there anyone online that perhaps wants to be heard?
Let me stop share so we can see. Pine du Bois.
Mr. Bois?
Hi there, everybody. Thanks very much. Just for the sake of the Rocky Nook people, I think when I first got my job at Jones River Watershed, the first grant I wrote to CZM was for all of stormwater in Rocky Nook. It didn't get funded. It's not just that people don't try. People do try, but it does require money and it requires a lot of investment. So, but my question for Strong Tree is the bioretention. Is there a window for in terms of how long the water will settle there? And the only reason I'm asking is my current problem in dealing with mosquito control.
Hi, Pine.
Hi.
Yes, we have an under drain. These will be standard, 72-hour max, but they'll be much quicker. We did do test pits down there, and we had some test pits from when they did the sewer. It is rocky, but it's fairly sandy. But like I said, it will be under drained for, Drew Ave has the existing outfall that will connect to.
Yeah, excellent. As long as it, I think 72 hours is okay. It's a little long, but not terrible. If it's longer than that, we have to put the eels in there. Thank
Yep.
you.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Have you done test pits or anything to find out where the clay level is under the road?
We did test bits, we hit refusal. These systems aren't very deep. We have separation of groundwater. Groundwater is around elevation 3, so the bottom is around 5. So that's about as deep as it's going. The elevation down at the bios is around 8.5, 9, so we're not going too deep. We did do test bits. We didn't find any silt or clay. We found, it's not the finest material, it's rocky nook, but we didn't find anything that wouldn't perk.
Okay.
Yep.
I know where you were going with that.
Yeah, it's a glacially formed area from dug up clay and just mounded up. I don't know how deep, where it is. That's why I was asking. The other question I have, the last house on the left, is he going to be able to turn into his driveway?
Which road?
I think it's Seaver, right?
Ledrew, I
So
think.
any parking within the right-of-way is gonna go away. So you're talking about, I think it's right here.
No, I was talking about the
Yeah.
driveway.
Yep.
The
We're not
access.
taking any driveway access.
Yeah, I think both of them will be able to access the driveway, and they should even be able to back out
Okay.
towards the ocean
Yeah.
on both streets, at least
Yep,
on,
exactly. We
both of
kept
them.
all the driveways where you'd have turning radii. But parking, sometimes they park at the end of the street, you can't do that anymore.
Right.
Any additional questions?
don't see anything.
What do you think, guys? Are we ready for a vote?
Excuse me.
Well, Matt, did you have a question about the O and M plan, that we should have it before?
He had said before,
Before
closing.
COC,
Yeah.
we'll have it, Justin will be, correct me if I'm wrong, you'll be putting it
Yes.
together
Yes,
at the wrap-up of construction before we file for a COC.
correct. The specs I have the specs done. We'll tweak the plans after this, and we'll put together the O and M.
Are we ready for a vote?
Are you wanting to close the hearing?
We would have to.
Okay.
If we're ready for it, or this is where somebody would say, well, I move for continuance, so.
I'll make a motion to close.
Okay, motion by
Second.
Brian, second by Marilyn. All those in favor of closing the hearing, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? All right, so we close the hearing, 5-0. Do I hear a motion on the NOI?
Sure. I'll make that motion to approve the project with conditions as stated, knowing that we'll be looking forward to that O and M plan when they ask for the COC.
Okay. All right, we have a motion by Marilyn. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Dot. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? All right. Motion carries 5-0 to issue the NOI, approve the NOI and issue the permit. Thank you very much. Section D, 17 Old Orchard Lane, notice of intent. So now, open a hearing for a notice of intent submitted by Grady Consulting LLC on behalf of the applicant, the New Orchard Realty Trust, for the raise and rebuild of a single-family dwelling within the buffer zones to various coastal wetland resource areas at 17 Old Orchard Lane. Where this is the first meeting on this proposal, we'll ask to hear an introduction from the applicant. Mr. Grady.
Thank you. Rick Grady from Grady Consulting, along with Mark Putaboni, the applicant. This is a property at number 17 Old Orchard Lane. It was before the commission a few years ago, which I believe was withdrawn by the previous owner at that time. Mr. Guidoboni has since acquired the property and also lives next door to the property. The existing home on this property is a concrete block foundation located partially within the flood zone, VE, elevation 13. That flood zone cuts across the back corner of the existing block foundation. We have the resource areas delineated by Brad Holmes. They're depicted here on the plan. The existing foundation is about 19 and a half feet off of the coastal dune delineation line here, and as mentioned previously, within the land subject to flooding. It is currently in a state of disrepair, as the people on the sidewalk saw yesterday, with toilets and sinks falling through floors and whatnot, and in dire need of being replaced. Mr. Guidoboni has come up with a house design on this where the house is narrower than the previous house. The previous house was about 34 feet wide. This proposed house that he wants to build is 28 feet wide. He would also like to pull that house closer to the property line. We have a 15-foot zoning setback, so we would like to bring it about 15.4 feet from that property line here to the east, I believe, or southeast. We'd also like to pull the house forward towards the existing access, existing roadway, Old Orchard Lane. By doing this, we're able to relocate the foundation entirely outside of the velocity zone, elevation 13. Would also like to elevate it a little bit higher on a foundation so that the basement slab, which is also a garage under slab here, is at approximately elevation 13.7. So our slab of our foundation will be elevated above the flood zone to eliminate having to deal with that being within the flood zone. There's 2 parking spaces proposed to conform with zoning requirements. These will be crushed stone parking spaces, accessing the existing crushed stone and partially paved driveway coming in from Old Orchard Lane. Again, those will be crushed stone to be impervious. Sorry, not impervious. We're also proposing a 3-foot wide, 1-foot deep crushed stone drip trench around the perimeter of the house here. That's about 124 feet in total length. It's giving us enough storage capacity so that it holds a volume of about 4 inches of runoff off of the entire impervious surface. So 4 inches of runoff basically off of this roof will be collected within this crushed stone drip trench around the perimeter of the proposed house. There are 2 retaining walls along the front here to transition the grade from the garage under here up to the main entry. Those 2 walls are approximately 25 feet long, and they're about 3.5 feet tall. So it'll be basically a stepped retaining wall situation there, 3.5 feet, 3.5 feet, so that we can access the main level at the front walkway here. There is a set of steps proposed to get back down to grade on the back of the structure here. He does have architectural plans that he can share with the commission if you'd like to see it. We have proposed mitigation plantings around the perimeter of the property and a proposed swale within the native plantings and mitigation plantings.
Could you show me the swale, please?
Yes, the swale is denoted right in this area here within the planted area. Excuse me. As mentioned, the proposed house will be moved further away from the resource area. He has proposed a post and rail fence to permanently demarcate the limit of the lawn area here. And we've talked about conservation signage there, similar to what he had done on the house next door that just was completed, which he did a very nice job on. The split rail fence will match some of the other fencing in the area as well. We do have a 12-inch silt sock proposed around the full perimeter of the site. Not a lot of grading going on here, especially around the back and side. We're maintaining existing grade, not bringing in fill. We will be connecting to town sewer and town water, so no need to worry about septic systems in this area. And with that, I'd be glad to answer any questions the commission may have.
All right, Matt, could you, could you bring us the seed?
Sure. Portion of the site, portion of the existing structure is located within the velocity zone at elevation 13 feet. There is no A zone at this site, so the flood zone or land subject to coastal storm flowage ends at the landward extent of the V zone. As Rick showed, the new structure is proposed slightly landward outside of the V zone. New site structure is proposed to be located 25.3 feet from the coastal dune and 30.4 feet from the inland bank of the mapped intermittent stream versus 19.5 and 20.5 respectively for the existing structure. So in other words, proposed structure is nearly 6 feet further from the coastal dune and 10 feet further from the inland bank. Initially, we didn't have architectural plans. We have had those submitted now. If anybody would like to see them, you have a 2-story house with a garage underneath concrete foundation. I'm not going to repeat everything that he said for site conditions there. We have about 180 square feet of native plantings behind 8 conservation posts. I have mentioned that we've allowed before, including at his other property, that placards can be attached to fence posts. So where they are proposing a split rail fence here, they may be able to do without the conservation posts and just put the placards on the split rail fence, and that would be mentioned in conditions that in one fashion or another, they have to stay there in perpetuity. Retaining walls meet the standards from KWPR by being less than 4 feet of fill being held back. We had several delineations on this, the most recent one by Brad Holmes. An earlier one mentioned BVW along with the inland bank. I don't see BVW on this plan, and I didn't notice any BVW on site other than associated with 18 Old Orchard Lane, there is BVW. But that, in a way, sort of just gets at the status of the stream. We did a site visit on the 21st. I didn't notice anything that looked out of place in terms of wetland delineation, where the coastal dune is, where the inland bank is, all of that. It's notable that I've never seen the stream dry or without flow. Its intermittent status appears to be based on it being clearly straight and of a human excavated condition. That doesn't mean that it's not natural or that it wasn't at one point a natural stream. But they're making a contention that it is a ditch because it comes out of a series of culverts after coming out of Main Street, underneath Main Street. My take on this, we haven't dealt with this before. We've had several filings in this area that we really haven't paid much attention to what this is as a feature, partially because everything in this area is already very developed, including this particular property. So rather than get down, and then the commission absolutely can if they want to, but if the commission wanted to get down to exactly what this feature is, my recommendation would be go to peer review, because I have no idea. I don't know where this stream comes from, what its headwaters are, what its total drainage area is. But I don't think that the commission needs that to make a decision on a filing like this. I don't think it really makes a difference one way or the other what the status of that stream is, whether it's an intermittent ditch or it's a perennial stream, where we have historic legal development up very close to it, and we have a project that is improving conditions in some capacity and adding restoration plantings closest to it. What I would say, if that's the way the commission feels, is that you put a special condition in there specifying that you're not affirming that resource area type. Again, the boundary to me looked accurate. I just don't know what it is as far as the stream. So I thought that was worth mentioning and can be laid out in special conditions. There was a NOI support memo that came from ECR. It typified the stream and discussed compliance. It did mention that this met the standard of maintaining an existing structure that I disagree with. If that's the point that he was trying to make in that, so just from a procedural standpoint, I thought it was worth calling that out as a redevelopment of an existing structure. But I do agree with the point that it makes, that the proposal increases the distance between the structure and the stream and other resource areas and provides mitigation plantings in between. So I imagine the commission will take into account the presence of an existing structure again, there is no grandfathering and no requirement for the commission to allow development here if they find that such development will be detrimental to the wetland resource areas. Plan states the existing impervious coverage at 14.9%, or 1,085 square feet, and proposes 15%, or 1,089 square feet, so you're increasing by 4 square feet. 15% is the maximum under KWPR. Again, for procedural purposes and for the administrative record, wetland memo number 2 incorrectly states the proposed percent impervious at less than half of 15%. So I don't know, I didn't reach out to Brad on that. It probably was something copied over from a different filing, but just for the administrative record, noting that that's incorrect, we do have a 15% proposed, a very minor increase. Applicant proposed to construct a new site structure on a concrete foundation entirely within the 50-foot and mostly within the 40-foot, no structure setback. So KWPR calls 50-foot for wall type, 40-foot for open pile, and that distance is to LSCSF, which is the velocity zone. Foundation is also within 40 and 50 feet to coastal dune and inland bank. We talked a little bit about the pervious nature of the proposed parking spaces, but we didn't really talk about proposed deck, steps, and landing. Be good to have some information of whether that is pervious, and if so, should probably have special conditions talking about board spacing, typically 3/8 of an inch. We have 2 variance requests that were provided, one for putting a structure with a wall-type foundation within 50 and 40 feet of wetland resource areas, and one for failure to place the structure to the furthest maximum extent from resource areas. Variance requests are just a section of the narrative. They do not specify the specific resource areas and do not follow the requirements of KWPR 5.23A and B. Regarding the second variance request, KWPR says the commission will require all structures and activities to be moved as far from resource areas as practicable. Here, the applicant is requesting relief in order to comply with zoning in that on-site, off-street parking spaces may be provided. My understanding is that zoning relief in this case would not be possible. I did reach out to the commission if they had questions about, well, can you just move the house further and not have those spaces there? From what I gather, the answer is no, that those spaces would be required. And those spaces were technically there before because of the grass area in front. There was the ability to pull off of the road. From page 1 of the narrative discussing the mitigation plantings, it says plantings will be provided as well as a swale to direct stormwater into said planting area. This area is expected to catch not only stormwater from on-site, but that coming from neighboring properties as well. Wondered if we could have a little more explanation on that. Just said, whereas the proposed planting area is only 5 feet wide, that was a little concerning. Guiding stormwater towards wetland resource areas, particularly where adequate infiltration systems are not provided, often results in detrimental effects to those areas. In this case, we do not have sufficient information to determine what the volume of stormwater will be, or that it won't cause detrimental effects when reaching the stream or coastal resource areas. It's unclear what the stormwater flow pattern is presently, and whether the proposal makes significant changes in that flow, including from off-site, as was mentioned in that statement. Compliance with the Mass Stormwater Standards is not required for single-family house projects, but the Commission has the authority to question potential stormwater issues where they arise in the normal course of review under WPA and KWPR. Rick talked a little about, I had a comment about the trenches, 3 foot by 1 foot depth, and just saying the commission may have questions about sizing. It seems, Rick, you're saying 4 inches?
Yes.
So they can
A
store a
volume
4-inch storm?
full volume without accounting for infiltration.
Okay.
So
And that's for the footprint.
the footprint is basically all of the impervious, so yes. Yeah. It's really the house that's the impervious on this site.
I said the narrative has errors that should be addressed for the administrative record, mainly involving the stream status. Many sections refer to the stream as perennial, where the application is contending it is a type 4 intermittent stream. For instance, number 7 says no known perennial streams exist within 100 feet of locust property, and number 8 says not applicable, the on-site stream is perennial. Other than as described above, the project appears to meet the standards of WPA and KWPR, including the standards for work in previously degraded riverfront area. I want the commission to talk about the proposed deck, steps, and landing as far as pervious nature. And I had noted that the applicant should explain how a concrete foundation is appropriate in this situation. Well, there's already a concrete foundation there in place closer to the resource areas. The commission does not need to approve proposed work when it's feasible to use best practices that would be less detrimental to the resource areas. Given the proximity to the current V-zone and sea level rise projections, it's entirely feasible that the V-zone will encompass the area of the proposed foundation during the lifespan of the proposed house and potentially soon. While a piling-type foundation is also prohibited by KWPR within 40 feet in this area, it is more appropriate than concrete wall type, particularly given the proximity to velocity zone. Narrative states that the first floor elevation will be 21.7 feet, while the V-zone is at 13 feet, but this does not explain the concrete foundation, where you have a note saying garage under slab elevation is 13.7. So it's entirely possible to get the same elevation and prevent any obstruction or scour, which may help protect the structure and the resource areas over the long term. The Commission should consider that the proposal removes roughly 100 square feet of concrete foundation from land subject to coastal storm flowage, being velocity zone right now, and utilizes native plantings to restore roughly 180 square foot of the area. So you do have improvements in current V-zone. So what I'm saying is not you have something that violates the current standards, you don't. You have something that meets the current standard, but for a best practices wetlands protection standpoint, are you going to have an issue here long-term where you likely will have the velocity zone increasing in elevation at this site? Understand the applicant's not going to want pilings here where right now you're talking about parking underneath the house. So right now what you have is you have a garage that you're pulling in underneath there.
You did say that you had architecturals, right?
Yeah. I don't know if we have them digital. I know you gave them to us earlier, and I'm not sure if we scanned them in yet, but we do have architecturals that can be shown tonight.
Mark has paper copies he can share as well.
Perfect. I noted again, the applicant should provide appropriate variance requests following the guidelines in 5.23A and B. Applicant should show that the post-development stormwater flow patterns will not have detrimental effects on the resource areas, explaining the difference between existing and proposed conditions. And Commission should specify whether they're affirming the stream type in any issued OOCs. In order to ensure a true pervious condition, the Commission may wish to include a perpetual condition requiring the driveway and any other pervious gravel areas, parking spaces, to consist of nothing smaller than 3/4 inch stone, gap graded, and that fines or sediment will be removed should they accumulate to the point where water no longer infiltrates quickly. Other coast-appropriate special conditions would be covering dumpsters when not in active use, immediate fines for trash found in the bay, no outdoor fertilizer chemical use, and conditions related to mitigation area establishment, maintenance, and conservation posts in perpetuity. That's all I got.
We'll open it up for discussion. Questions from the commission for either the applicant or Matt?
So I know on the sidewalk yesterday, you started to talk about how the construction underneath would allow some pass-through of water flow and not
So we had originally looked at,
hazard, I think is what you were talking about.
yeah, when we looked at, there is a door that Matt didn't make note of, and the garage door itself is going to allow the concrete, it's essentially turning it more into a piling structure than it is an actual foundation. So the water will be able to act, in the event that it exceeds the velocity zone, it will in fact blow the door open or blow
So
the garage
that's
door open. Garage doors down in the Florida area are used typically as the fail-safe that creates the pile area. If the commission so wishes, we could put the blowout, what do they call, flood vents
Say
in
that
the
again, Mike, I'm
foundation.
Smart
In-
vents.
Smart fence?
The smart vents, it's a flood vent that allows the water to permeate into. And those could be up, a little bit higher than the 14-foot floor, say at 15, so that still it's not going to create a structural issue.
So
but with
those were
bottom
used
line.
on the Braintree Ave NOI filing, I think last year or the year before, to create that pass-through. But as I was saying on the site visit yesterday, in that situation, that was with a crawl space, where I believe all that was under the house was gravel or, some sort of sediment, soil, whatever under there. Just in this situation where you'll have a garage, essentially, you're gonna have vehicles parked in there. My question is there a situation where even when you have that, you have the potential for contaminants to be brought back in? Is there anything that can be done in that sense?
Just on that one, I mean, I understand how the velocity works, and I understand, blowout doors versus, vents. the thing that complicates it, I think, a little bit is the storage of things that naturally accumulate inside those garage areas. So I understand the need for parking, I need the desire for garages, but from that perspective, that's a tough one to I guess, weigh against, a detriment to the area. So, thoughts?
One of the commission members brought up yesterday the electric car issue and having an electric car in a garage like that. And the electric port would be on the upper, the parking spot that goes up towards the front door. That's going to be up at 20 feet is where the electric car plug is proposed for that parking spot.
I looked at your architecturals. I didn't see any mechanical rooms. Is the mechanicals going to be in the basement as well?
If we put mechanicals, they would be elevated in the construction. So your typical heat pump water tank stands about 6 feet tall. So it would have to be on a 24-foot platform up to allow for that. But that's one of the hardest things to locate in anywhere in a house because of the height requirements. They're about 6 feet tall. So.
While Jim's thinking, any comments on the deck, steps, landing? Is that all? It seemed like in the filing it was proposed as pervious, but I didn't catch it in the narrative or anything.
Yeah, the intent is to provide spacing between the boards, 3/8 of an inch you had mentioned. That's a perfectly acceptable condition, and that's what we had anticipated for the construction of the deck area.
Under the deck area, there'll be the 1.5 inch stone like we did over at 18 Old Orchard, which will allow any water that goes through the deck planking to permeate without any erosion of any of the subsoil that's below the deck. So the other reason we did the swales around is to eliminate gutters, because gutters tend to concentrate water flow and cause more erosion than, so if the water falls freely into the stone swales, they'll provide that drainage and percolation into the ground a lot better than creating a torrent from a gutter and a downspout. The other thing is the question came up in Matt's appraisal on the swale. The swale that's in with the plantings is designed only to handle the lawn area that's currently there, so that's the only water, because all the water from the impervious surface of the structure will be taken care of with the stone around it.
Right, it was in the narrative where it was talking about taking water from other properties. Is that meaning the other side, the east, what is that, southern side of the yard?
Well, this particular property is the lowest grade property at Old Orchard Lane. So naturally, the water sheds off of all the rest of the properties. Now, most of the water is mitigated. 18 has much better mitigation now because we've added the stone and addressed a lot of the issues over here at 18. Everything 18 is over here. But there's still some of the water comes down the existing paved roadway to the stone, but we'll be mitigating a lot of that because the entire driveway will now be stone as opposed to the, well, I don't know what's left there now. It's not draft, it's pretty much dirt. So a lot of the water that we mentioned as far as mitigating it, we're trying to funnel that into some kind of a treatment before it gets either to the, I call it the brook, or into the ocean. But most of it runs down this way, and it goes into the lawn pretty good. We're not having any kind of active erosion at the time between Old Orchard and the stream.
I don't recall, and I know because I asked at the site visit, any detail or anything on the parking spaces, because initially I asked, like, is that going to be turf? And you said it's going to be crushed stone. Is there any specification on that? Like, does that itself have a storage volume? Are you going with a certain depth there? Or is that just going to be like a top dressing on dirt?
Yeah, I would suggest a minimum of 6-inch depth, and yes, that does also store stormwater runoff and does also promote infiltration as well. So that is another component to it that'll help with the stormwater.
And was that designed at 3/4 stone or something along those lines? What was your plan for the parking spaces?
I would suggest 3/4 would be appropriate.
May I ask something?
Yep.
Are we allowed to ask for, sorry, wait a second, maintenance of these gravel swales? Because I did notice on 18 that some of them have weeds going through them already. So is there a way to make sure that these are maintained, clean, weed-free? Because then if they're not weed-free, are they going to drain the way that they're supposed to drain? Are they going to maintain? They're going to?
It's a toss-up. I think more than likely the property owners are not gonna want weeds growing out of there, but it can be sort of a double-edged sword. Like when we do a bioretention area, we want plants there because plants help with uptake. But you could also have a situation where they're contributing to sedimentation and filling of the gravel, so.
Well, if there's not any other way to catch the water and if it fills up, then.
I think, like I said, you definitely want, and this was only for the swale, but I think you would include the parking spaces in that same condition, that you're mandating that they stay at a minimum 3/4 inch gap graded stone, and that if they get over time or through some incident, filled with sediment or other material to the point that they no longer infiltrate, that the commission can mandate that they be repaired. Whether that's just from completely removing it and replacing it, or whether it's through some process of screening or whatever. You would have the ability to have that conditioned. You could throw a condition in there that the areas have to be kept weed-free, but it's hard to.
Just like maintained as.
I would say it's more important just to make sure that you're writing that they're maintained as something that is actually pervious. And that if you go there and you see that there's standing water in it, after a rainstorm, then I think you could make a pretty good case that it's not infiltrating properly.
Well, it might be worth asking too, perhaps they have a plan for this, what kind of stone you're gonna be planning on using. Is it gonna be a wash stone? Is it gonna be, something that's gonna have a lot of sediment on it, that's gonna accumulate in the bottom? What's your plan there?
No, all the stone that we use on site is a wash stone. I use the 1.5-inch stone at 18 because it has bigger spaces and has more retention of water. And as you're discussing this, I was thinking a base of 1.5 with a 3/4 on top would give you a better volume of storage. I'm gonna refer to my engineer though.
Yeah. I think for a special condition, we would say minimum of 3/4 inch, and you're welcome to do as you wish there. And I think that would suit your needs.
I think there's a lot of good going on this one, and I understand that it's an existing parcel. The one thing that still sticks with me is the classification of what you just called a brook, right? You grew up in this area, you know what it is, you know that it's wet, intermittent versus perennial. I'm not comfortable voting on anything that doesn't line up with what our interpretation of it is currently. So if we do close tonight, if we do vote, if we do approve, I'd like that plan updated and remove the reference that kind of spins it in the wrong direction. So that's what I would like to see on the plan. So remove the reference to the intermittent stream, because you don't have, there's no proof in front of us that's an intermittent stream. So if we're tied to that on your application, then it's gonna be my recommendation that we continue and require the work to be done to either accept that or deny it.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
So you want it changed from what, intermittent to what, just to be specific?
Yeah, we gotta remove the references to intermittent because they can be referenced somewhere else and,
Matt had
Talking
suggested
stream
a
of
condition that
unknown
the
status?
conditions-
Yeah, perennial
Stream of
stream
unknown
is by default, we kind of go that direction, so stream.
Stream?
Yeah.
Then you have to deal with it with Gray's Beach and tennis courts and 18 recently, and so.
Yeah, I mean, we've dealt with it with the playground by essentially barely looking at it because the whole thing was staying within a previously developed area. And the same thing with, I think, the tennis courts. There's no change to the, when you're not changing anything really on the site in terms of on the ground conditions, it's pretty easy to overlook something like that. But if we ever need to get to the bottom of exactly what that is, it's gonna be, I think, a little more of a bear than you wanna deal with on a single-family house property.
And that's well
So what do
said.
you wanna see personally on that?
I want to just see
Stream,
the
stream of
intermittent part
unknown status,
removed. Yeah.
just say stream?
Yeah. It's, just as long as it's open, we're not agreeing to any of it.
Okay.
That's my point.
Okay.
But on that point, Mark, I mean, you grew up in this area, that stream comes from, is it Baker Ave? Under the hut? Is that where you guys are?
I haven't
It
confirmed it.
really does initiate at the stormwater for what is now Route 3A. Understanding that Crescent Street was 3A, and years ago, the bypass of Crescent Street was the new 3A, closer to the ocean. That was before my time. But
So
my-
there's no up gradient portion of that on the other side of Main Street that you know of?
that you can find that water accumulates. I would say the groundwater is pretty high. My father, years ago, said that that was a swamp when he was a kid, and they put the road through there. But I can't tell, I don't know.
It could have been a mosquito control thing, 100
Well,
years
it's
ago.
definitely has been maintained in my lifetime as mosquito control by Plymouth County as a drainage ditch, because it did accumulate water and contract, and of course, the public park was there to mitigate the mosquitoes. They cleaned it out, but they do all that by hand. There's no machines involved. But it does drain a very small wetland that's behind 6 Old Orchard Lane, but it doesn't meet the requirements that, and that's why it's hard to define, because it doesn't have the watershed. So, but the origin point is the storm drain system of 3A, which is catching water all the way probably from both ends of Crescent Street, groundwater. And, but at this point, I think it's been too well developed to really pin it down as having any natural water source.
Interesting. Is this separate now? This is Gone Bananas, right?
That's gonna be in.
And
This
then
is Gum
we
Bananas,
had
and this
the
was a previous,
animals.
yeah.
This isn't tied to that.
That is that.
That is it.
This is where it comes out of the ground, right in their backyard, basically.
The other ones that just had a house, right?
Yeah.
So, hold on. Oh, okay, so this is, all right, so we would, I don't even know, that would be more over here, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of water over there.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
a big pond here. All right,
We also had a question on a red maple tree that we're dealing with too. It's near
Oh, that
the
one.
mitigation area. He would like to remove that if possible. It's not in great shape. Matt didn't want to do it administratively because it's within the resource area as opposed to being in the buffer zone. But he would like to remove that maple tree.
it's within your swale, does the swale not
It's
go that
within the
far?
swale,
Right,
yeah.
so I would assume that if we're
in
looking
bad
at the
shape,
swale as a
yeah.
benefit, that we would see that tree would have to go to the swale.
Couple thoughts on this, right? So the tree is definitely in striking distance of the existing house and probably would be in striking distance of the proposed house. It's not in the best of health. There's definitely some broken branches and some sign of decline. There might be some structural instability to the trunk. I would say there's not really an issue with removing that as part of this project. I think when the commission makes you keep a tree that is potentially damaging to the structure, it's been done, but it's depending on the situation, risky. I would say you wouldn't want ground disturbance, you wouldn't want to be grinding out the stump, and you may even, like,
Mark had just suggested that as well. We could cut the tree, leave the stump, let it grow back.
that's kind of what I was thinking, is it's a beneficial species, it's a native species, it's a wetland species. If you flush cut it, it probably starts sprouting up, and you either just let it bush out, or you select the strongest leaders, and then you'll end up with a tree again.
It
That
becomes
hopefully won't
part
be
of the
problematic.
mitigation planting bed.
Yeah, and that will suck up a lot of water. So as part of having that in a swale, like red maples hold once it gets to be mature again, red maples, you know, they hold a lot of water just in the trunk itself, so it's gonna do a pretty good job of soaking stormwater up.
So what height would you expect was acceptable?
I don't really care as long
Yeah.
as it's above ground. I mean, it's
Okay.
just a flush cut and let it pop back up.
Is it not within the planned dimensions of the swale, or is it within those?
It is within it, yes.
Right, so in order to create that swale, I assume you have to do some excavation, correct?
We don't need to remove the stone.
You don't need
though.
to.
Well, the swale was to lead back to that area, right? The swale
The
was
idea
more to
with the
keep.
swale there too, it almost captures too, it's almost a little bit of a dam.
Okay.
So leaving the stump there, keeping it slightly elevated,
Perfect.
helps capture that surface runoff.
Great. All right, any additional questions?
So are we agreeing that the concrete foundation is okay, even though we had the discussion about the velocity zone, and we're going to accept the door design as the pass-through, and that's...
I think they offered the flood vents.
The
Right.
vent thing, yes, so
Yeah.
we're good with that.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think we would want to make that as a condition, just for safety.
And we're talking on the ocean side of the foundation, correct?
Well, there's going to be an engineering recommendation. I think we just leave that to
Okay.
Mr. Grady, and I don't know if do they have to be opposing?
They're supposed to be on opposing or pass-through walls.
Yeah.
So the suggestion here would be one on the back wall and one on the side wall here. Yeah, they do make them for the garage door as well, so, yeah, my suggestion would be one on the back, one on the side. And it's 1 per 200 square feet if we were in the flood zone, which today we're elevated above it.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions, comments? I'm sorry, let's open this up to public discussion, please. Anybody from the
Pine du Bois.
Pine du Bois.
Thanks, you guys. Good luck, Mark. So, this is a general question for the town, really, because it has to do with planning and the fact that what we're facing in terms of sea level rise. I see the V zone is 13, your slab is 13.5. When I look at the December 2025 Woods Hole Group analysis for the Adena, they're saying by 2050, we're likely to have a 2.5 rise in flood. That's not very far from now, and the V zone creates a whole nother dimension to that I think we need to start appreciating in terms of, how crazy our weather has been. And I worry for you and this project, that it's not quite high enough. I think, it's great to talk about vents and all that stuff. When we're at the landing, I always open the back door of the boat shop to let the water out, that kind of thing. But I don't live there, and I think that it's really worth both the town and the applicant, along this area to really evaluate the practicality of what we're facing and the idea of what we really need to do in order to be resilient in the face of everybody ignoring the fact that we're creating higher sea level rise. And I just I did want to say about the stream that I've been looking at that thing since 1981 or so. I've had fights with people putting septic systems in the stream because they're digging down a couple of feet and the stream is running there right underground. And I do believe that it comes from across the street and probably from Smith's Lane. So I thank you for addressing that and calling it a stream. It has been active for the entire time that I've been involved in conservation in the town, and I think that we really need to appreciate the fact that it runs all the time. So thanks very much. Good luck, Mark, and Rick, if you could do a little work on projections for sea level rise for us, we'd probably appreciate it. Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hearing no other comments or questions, no other hands raised. Does the commission feel that we're ready for a vote on this? Or is a continuance the path?
Well, we talked about a lot of things, and
Yeah.
it sounds like you need to add some little tweaks to the plan and stuff like that to get it to where we've just discussed it going. So should we continue this in order to get that plan back, or what are you thinking, Matt?
It's up to the commission. They can either come back with some of the stuff as notes on the plan, or they can be in there as special conditions. You can require the plan be updated before orders of conditions are officially issued. I don't think much changes in terms of your review within these things. Yeah, and to Pine's point, that's, yeah, I sort of agree on all of that, but I think some of it comes down to builder beware, you know?
Yeah.
The commission does have the ability to push back on situations they think are going to be, you know, clearly detrimental. And I believe you do have the ability to factor in some of these projections. But at this point, what they're showing, at least currently, does meet those standards. So,
Just on that note, I think, you know, we've been around for a long enough time, and we've had some filings where you have to think about the land subject to coastal flow and then subsidence, right? This is a single-family lot. If we apply certain standards to that extent on something that was for, you know, whatever it was, 70 units, it's not the same thing. This is a taking. If we get into
yeah.
not allowing Mr. Guidi to rebuild a house that exists currently, so.
And it's not necessarily that as much as, and I think you're 100% right on that, but it wouldn't be that as much as saying in its current form that it doesn't meet the standards. But again, it's debatable as to whether it would or wouldn't, because you could come back with a dwelling there that does meet the standards and does prepare for sea level rise in the
Right.
velocity zone. You just probably can't park vehicles under it. So,
All right.
but at a base level, I think what's shown does meet the standards now and does provide some things to mitigate, you know, some of those concerns.
I would like to see the plan updated before I approve anything, so that way there's not any confusion on what should and shouldn't be done.
Okay.
That is my input.
Yeah, that's where I
General
was going with
consensus?
that.
Yeah.
Could I share my punch list with you here?
I'm sorry?
I'm sorry?
Could I share my punch list with you here?
Yes.
So we don't have a do-over?
Yeah.
We talked about the flood vents. We'll label up the crushed stone for the driveway and give you a little section of 1.5 inches for the base and 3/4 over that. We'll put a note in there to cut the maple but to leave the stump. We'll put a note in there about the spacing on the deck. I think that was.
You had parking spaces in addition to the driveway.
Yes.
You may have meant the parking spaces, because I don't, is there a
Do you have?
section of driveway that's, you do have proposed crushed stone driveway, so you are modifying the driveway, so it'd be both driveway and,
Yeah, I meant driveway and parking space.
right.
Yeah.
Plan update, stream,
Oh, yeah, okay.
Did we get the placards
Placard,
on the
thank you,
Yeah.
placards
fence?
on the fence.
Yeah.
But to be maintained in perpetuity as well?
Yeah.
and then, Mark
Or you
mentioned.
could do the post, but I think you prefer,
Yeah,
right?
he'd like the fence
Yeah.
to look.
Mark mentioned the 1.5 inch stone under the deck, same thing, gap graded, washed, all that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then maybe the specification on, I don't think you need a full detail on it, but somewhere the specification on the parking spaces and the driveway in terms of the depth of the pervious stone.
Yes. Yeah, we'll give you a little I started sketching up a little cross-section here already, so.
Nice.
All right. Any other questions for us?
No, I just wanted to make sure that we agreed on the items that you were looking for on the plan, that's all.
And then
2
the
weeks?
vents.
3 weeks, sorry.
I
He
did get the
did-
flood vents in
He
here,
did put the
yes.
fence on there first.
Yeah, that was the first.
Oh, that's right, that's the first thing you said. I checked
Yep.
it off.
Yep.
Nice.
Doc,
And,
did you have something?
Do you think 3 weeks? I think our meeting is at August 12th, correct? Would that be sufficient?
These are very minor, it's a couple of
Right.
days, really. I mean, even if the commission was comfortable enough to have us submit it before issuing order of conditions, that would be fine too, whatever you guys are comfortable with.
I think the consensus was that you wanted to see
Yeah.
updates.
And did you need to relabel the stream on the plan?
Oh, yeah?
That's,
Yeah, you got that.
It's on the list. And you'd like it called stream, right?
stream,
Okay.
non-discriminating, okay?
Not a
We don't
ditch,
need
not
to
a-
fight that battle.
You didn't care about the of unknown status, you're,
Nope, stream.
I think, yeah, that says it all.
Yep, stream.
No,
Stream.
no, it's a
It's a
stream.
stream.
okay.
Yep.
It's a stream, it has water in it.
Just
Connected area.
It'll be stream on the plan, and you'd still have a special condition that would specify the commission's not
Calling it.
typifying the
anything
stream or
else, yeah.
confirming the status.
Just to be clear, the paperwork on the, just resubmit the paperwork. It was line 7, or item 7, item 8. Strike that out unless you're willing to prove to us, just amend those two so that it doesn't say that there isn't one. Just check that there is, and I'm fine with it.
Yeah, there were a handful of things for the administrative record, I think, that should
Yeah.
be
Yep.
updated as well.
So just one minor comment on this plan of yours. It says, on the bedroom floor, it says first floor plan. This says first floor plan when it's the second.
Well, you
Well,
know, the architect was, that's,
Just minor.
yes, thank you. Those were for.
All right, so if there's nothing else, do we hear a motion to continue
So I'll make that
to
motion to
August 12th?
continue August 12th?
August 12th.
Okay.
Second.
All right, we have a motion from Marilyn, second by Megan. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained. All right, that motion to continue to August 12th. Carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, have a good night.
All right, so we gotta jump back. We're in action items. We on,
11 Grace
Grace
Beach.
Beach.
I'm gonna hit the bathroom real quick.
all right, we're gonna take a 5-minute recess.
want, Justin can present.
Well,
Be quick.
let's take a 5-minute recess.
I'll take a 5-minute break. Thank you. Turn your mics off if you want.
Okay, we're back. I will now open a public meeting to discuss the request for determination of applicability for 11 Grays Beach submitted by Strong Tree Engineering on behalf of the applicant, the town of Kingston, to remove and replace the existing tennis courts within the 100-foot buffer zone to inland wetland resource areas. Where this is the first meeting on this proposal, we will hear an introduction from the applicant.
Yep, Justin Lamero, Strong Tree Engineer again for Susan Woodworth at the Kingston Rec Department. So pretty straightforward project. We have a wetland on the other side of the tracks here. This is Grays Beach Park. The tennis court shown in both the existing and proposed here, and the basketball court, which is outside buffer zones. But we are replacing the tennis court in the exact same footprint. We'll remove the existing asphalt. We'll regrade just to get out some of the low spots in the court, and then we'll repave. The fence will stay in place, and we're not adding any impervious. We have silt sock around the entire perimeter, and we'll put silt sacks in the catch basins that are adjacent to the project.
Matt, do you have any comments, please?
Sure. I get into discussions of the stream and how it is referenced on several other filings. I wrote, the work proposed in this filing is not within riverfront area because the riverfront area runs perpendicular to the stream, ends where the stream ends instead of wrapping around the bottom, so this is a buffer zone only project. Because the stream comes out of a culvert just to the, just past where the court is. Proposed work limited to the area of the existing tennis court will not increase existing impervious surface or cause other disturbance within jurisdiction. Work is mostly outside of the 50-foot buffer zone with around 59 square feet of the court inside the 50-foot buffer zone to the southern BVW. Thus, the work is mostly in accordance with KWPR 8.01C1, particularly in that the tennis court is not changing in size and has been placed as far back as it's been in place as far back as our local aerial imagery shows. I think maybe the 1990s. This was.
Yep, that sounds right.
Yeah.
I started working on the Grays Beach around 2004,
Yeah.
give or take.
Sediment silt sock at least 8 inches wide is proposed for ESC around the north, east, and half of the south boundary of the court, as well as silt sack in the downslope catch basins. The RDA asked not only for a determination on the work, but also regarding the resource area boundaries. The resource areas adjacent to this project are not clear-cut and would require significant effort to determine beyond the scope of a simple project consisting only of restoring an existing paved area for public benefit. So I wrote, the commission should decide if the proposed location and type of ESC is sufficient to protect nearby resource areas from effects of the proposed work. The commission should not affirm the wetland boundaries, should issue a positive 2B determination stating that no boundaries are affirmed as part of this review. Otherwise, the project appears to meet the standards of WPA and KWPR and should be approved through issuance of a -3 determination. So unless you have other questions or concerns, it would be issuance of a positive 2B and -3 determination.
Okay. We'll open up for discussion. Any questions from the commission? Is there anybody from the public that would like to be heard?
Is that Matt?
No.
No, that's his hand thingy. It's. Mouse.
So Matt, it sounds like it's a pretty straightforward project, whether just
Yeah, it's
removing, replacing tents.
probably even easier than
This is a
the.
CPC project, right?
It is.
Correct.
Yeah,
So,
I'm
yeah.
like, why do I know this
I was
project?
gonna say, this is probably easier than even the playground one was. It's
Yeah.
just, it's
No, you're putting all the
essentially
line-
repaving, but you are grading, you're removing and grading. It's just, you're putting back exactly what's there. You're protecting downslope. It's very easy to.
Are you doing the restriping as well, like the line painting?
It's not planned to
No.
reach the parking lot or
No,
in the
the-
tennis
like
court?
the
Oh, yeah.
markings
Oh,
on
yeah.
the court,
We're-
yeah.
Yep, we're removing the asphalt and
Yeah.
it'll be painted similar to Reed School, the blue.
Okay.
Have you been up there?
I have.
Yeah.
So Matt's recommendation is positive 2B and a -3A DOA.
So moved.
Do we have a motion? We have a motion from Megan. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Marilyn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained. All right, that motion carries for a positive 2B and a negative 3 DOA.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you.
What do you need?
That motion was 5-0.
Oh, I'm sorry.
What's next?
All right, so I will now open a public meeting to discuss the request for a certificate of compliance for 63 Christmas Tree Lane submitted by the law offices of Satiri Sugaris on behalf of the applicants Daniel R. and Maureen E. Rosenplanter for construction of a single-family dwelling and associated utilities within the 100-foot buffer zone to inland wetland resource areas. Matt, can you brief us on this?
Yep. COCs appear to have been issued to this property in 2017, but during a title search, it was discovered the COCs were never recorded at the Registry of Deeds. Sellers could not locate the original copies of the COCs. They were advised to refile using the 2017 engineer certification and as-built plan. There were 3 special conditions in the OOCs. 1 was conservation agent inspection of ESC before start of work. 2, contact agent prior to any dewatering. And 3, conservation posts at the 100-foot no disturbance zone to the vernal pool in perpetuity. During the July 16th site visit, we observed the posts in place as depicted on the as-built plan. There was some slight degradation of the posts and signs, but they were still fine. It's just, it should be noted and will be passed along to the new owners that they will need to be updated whenever they are not visible anymore, or whenever they need to be made visible. We did observe some minor dumping of things like pea stone, gravel, mulch, and the plastic bags with the mulch in them past the rear boundary of the yard, but not past the conservation posts. So jurisdictional, should be removed, but not a big deal, and it would be easy enough to get those removed. The 2017 engineer certification states the project was built in compliance with the OOCs. We verified the property was largely in compliance with the OOCs during our site visit, including connection of the rear roof downspouts to the infiltration system. There have been some changes made to the property since the 2017 as-built plan. The conservation agent, previous conservation agent approved replacement of the existing deck with a slightly larger footprint through administrative review in July of 2019. And then between March and October 2021, approximately 600 square foot stone patio and path connecting to the front driveway were added at ground level off the back deck. Approximately 200 square feet of that is within jurisdiction. It does not appear that this work was permitted, though it was done within the existing lawn area, very close to the house. It does appear that it would be permittable, likely through an RDA. And we measured out it's approximately 11% impervious surface within jurisdiction, so it meets the standards on that. So the commission could require retrospective permitting for the stone patio behind the house before issuing a COC. They may also just determine that it's not a huge deal. It's a little bit of stone within a turf area. Commission should require the removal of any dumping, and the new owner should be reminded that dumping is not allowed, as well as what I mentioned with the conservation posts. I think we can handle all that administratively with the new property owner, and I would recommend issuance of COCs on this.
A recommendation of?
Issuing COCs, with everything we discussed being handled administratively.
Okay.
If the commission wishes, like I said, you can make any of that a requirement before a COC is issued, and we can just kick this to another meeting, but I think we can get it handled. Yeah.
All right, we'll open a discussion up for the commission. Any questions from Matt?
No.
Is there anyone from the applicant like to be heard?
I don't think so.
Is there anyone from the public that would like to be heard? All right. Hearing none. What's the consensus? Are we prepared to issue the COCs?
I would be ready to issue the COC, and again, in keeping with Matt's offer to handle the discussion administratively with the loose ends of cleaning up the dumping and those items.
Okay. So Matt, what's the wording we want to say on that? Subject to the closeout of the issues we discussed here, we're voting?
Yeah, I would say your vote is to issue the COCs with the agent handling any of the other issues administratively.
Perfect, all right.
I'm going to abstain from, it's in my neighborhood and could have precedence for my own property.
Understood.
Forgot this was in your area.
All right, so we have a motion from Marilyn, we have a second by Dot. Brian's abstaining, we'll take a roll call. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? And one abstention, so this is a 4-0-1 vote.
Just for clarification purposes, the unpermitted roughly 300 square feet of patio and walkway, is the commission,
It's in the turf area, right?
yeah.
So,
Does anybody want to see a filing on that?
no.
I think it's a wrong direction for us to want a filing on that one. We can do whatever we want, but the turf is the worst that it could be.
Right.
And anything less than that is almost like I gave it back, so we all generally,
I'm good with
I'd be fine, maybe explain to them that anything else needs to come before us.
Yeah.
Yeah,
just
the new homeowner.
communicate that there's
Yeah.
jurisdiction area, I guess, right? All right, I will now open a public meeting, to discuss a request for determination of applicability for 48 Pondview Drive submitted by the applicant, Stephen Haynes, for removal of 2 trees within a 100-foot buffer zone to inland wetland resource area. Matt, is there anyone from the applicant?
No.
Okay, were we expecting?
I don't know. This is one that we did an administrative review site visit for a hazard tree that was clearly in striking distance of the house. I approved that administrative removal with leaving 6 feet of trunk in place so that it was short enough that it wouldn't ever fall over and hit their fence. While we were there, one of the property owners inquired about 2 trees behind the yard. And I said that I wouldn't really approve those administratively, or that I think I might have said that I would approve those administratively with the requirement that 10 to 20 feet of trunk stay in place. And she said, well, that I don't like that. And I said, well, if you don't want that staying in place, you can file an RDA. You know, they are things that are within striking distance of, if not the house, the rear yard area. I think there's a pool. I said you can bring it to the commission for having them review it to be flush cut. So I don't know if they were planning on being here to discuss it.
Okay, well,
They're not here to
we have no
discuss it.
applicant. I think we just either dismiss it or continue it.
Just continue it.
Continue. Make a motion to continue.
Give them
it.
one chance to come back,
Yeah,
and
give
then
them
we,
one chance to come
then we
back.
put it. Okay. All right, do I hear a motion to continue to August 12th?
I'll make that motion.
All right,
Second.
Motion by Marilyn, second Megan. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain. Okay, so that motion carries 5-0 for continuance to August 12th. Matt, could you make sure that they understand that if they're gonna have something before us, that they either need to cancel or
Yep.
not?
And was that continued to August?
August 12th.
Thanks.
All right, Matt, we're gonna move on to enforcement, 22 Wapping Road. Could you brief us?
Before you do, I'm
Sorry.
going to recuse myself. That's my neighbor.
When, oh, okay. I was just counting how many people were here.
Yeah. So, yes, 22 Wapping Road, I had noticed from Wapping Road, being familiar with 24 Wapping Road, which was originally subdivided from 22, that there was some understory, what looked like understory mowing or cutting. It looked like somebody was cutting the understory underneath the trees. I could tell, I knew the Jones River flowed through back there, so I figured it was somebody trying to just cut the understory, make sure they could see the river or something like that. So I sent a notice of violation, and went out and saw the property after the homeowner contacted me. And then we had a commission site visit earlier this week, I believe, where we had several commissioners on site. It was more than I had anticipated. There was a lot more mowing. There was clearing with a big machine. Like, there was a lot of riverfront area and BVW that was directly impacted, directly mowed, trees taken out in some areas. There were areas of upland within the riverfront area that had been cleared and really kind of disturbed in a way that there really wasn't vegetation left. You had a bridge installed across the river and what I would call, I guess, stilling pools in the river built out of rock, sort of dams essentially. A couple of culverts on either intermittent streams or ditches that lead to the river. Essentially, in talking to the property owner, he was saying he was just trying to create like a picnic area back there that he could hang out with his family. And I explained jurisdiction, how extensive it was there, and the requirements for permitting. And he said, I understand. I probably shouldn't have done this, and I felt bad about it. Wants to make it right. In between the initial site visit and the commission site visit, he had already made some repairs. There was a really sandy, exposed dirt area right on the bank of the river. And I said, you're going to need erosion control on this. And by the time we got back, he had, in his own way, he had used a downed tree to create, a sort of backstop, and had used some of the shredded tree material, wood chips or whatever, or leaf litter to cover the area so that it was a little more stable. There was what I think was intended to be like an ATV or dirt bike track that was cut close to 24 Wapping Road back around to that area, and there was again a big area of random clearing that when I asked what was the purpose for that, he said that wasn't supposed to happen. So there's a lot going on back there. Property owner's working on it. He has engaged Brad Holmes. I'm not sure if there's a signed contract or anything, but I know Brad has been to the property to look at it, as well as I know Pine Dubois and Jimmy Powell from JWRA have gone out there to look at it because they know the property owner. He wants to do the right thing. He said he's also in touch with Wildlands Trust about, and has been in the past, about some sort of a CR or something in that area. He said that Karen Gray from Wildlands Trust is supposed to come to the site, I believe, on the 27th, and had asked if we could continue this discussion tonight so that the commission didn't make any decisions. I told him that it was important to get the commission on site to see things, and that it wasn't likely the commission was going to make any big decisions in one meeting. That typically the way these things were handled is that if you're working with somebody on a restoration plan, which I understand he is, that typically we would just continue it for a month or so to wait for that restoration plan before issuing an EO. So it was pretty bad, pretty egregious, but we do have a property owner who is willing to do the right thing and get restoration going. And I think in this case, a lot of it is going to come down to conservation posts and letting things grow back naturally. There will be some areas that will need planting or seeding or some form like that. But largely the work that was done there is easily undone. I just sort of told him for now, don't really do much else to fix it. I said, he was talking about removing the bridge, and I said, just leave that in place, leave the little check dams and everything in place until we have a plan to properly remove everything to make sure it's all done right. So.
Any questions from Matt?
He did specify that he was not going to be here tonight, I think partially just out of, I wasn't going to say fear, but he was pretty nervous about being here and speaking to the commission. And I said, you don't have to be. I said, if you can't have somebody here speaking for you and you're not comfortable with it, I said, I can pass on to the commission everything that I saw here. And the commission, typically in enforcement issues, is just happy to hear that somebody's willing to make it right, which he was. So if anybody has any questions, I can answer questions. Otherwise, my recommendation would be to push this a month, give him time to work with a wetland scientist on making this right. If you have any requirements as far as anything in terms of stability, we could do that as well. I think what he did was okay. It's not the best, but
It was a sincere effort.
it was an effort.
Questions from Matt?
You
I
had
don't
to be
think you
there.
really need anything from us at this point, correct?
Just a motion to continue, I guess?
I'll make
It's an
that
enforcement,
motion,
we don't have
if that's what you want. And we'll say a month.
Yeah, which would be August 26th.
Okay, we have a motion to continue to August 26th. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Brian. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? All right, that motion to continue carries.
It's a beautiful spot you've got back there.
Yeah. I like seeing people use their property because that's a good thing. But might have missed some,
Yeah, that was nice.
missed some,
I'm like, I want this riverfront.
And we have Commissioner McFarland coming back?
Yes.
Okay. So, Matt, 19 Blair Drive, continued from an earlier date. Would you brief us?
Continuance. So the representative, Paul Brogna, reached out to CZM, to Jason Bertner. Jason asked for specific materials in order to be able to give some feedback. Mr. Brogna provided those materials. Jason's feedback was that largely his opinion was that there would be no ability to approve a revetment there.
No, to approve a revet.
A revetment.
No ability?
No ability. That is his, that's largely what I took out of the letter. It said a lot of things. I haven't fully gone through to prepare it all for the commission yet, but essentially after that, Mr. Brogna asked, for continuance so that he can work out some of that and have a site visit with Mr. Bertner, just so that he can actually see the site, because he's basing all this on aerial imagery and plans and everything, that it would be good for him to see the site. He might have the same exact feeling. At that point, then it's up to the applicant and how they want to go about things, and then up to the commission and how they want to handle it as well. I know at one point, the chair mentioned that, you potentially will have a situation there where you have one unprotected property between two existing houses that predate those regulations. But there are things that the applicant can do to try to, get at some of that or mitigate some of that. So it's back on their court. They're gonna try to schedule something with CZM to get down to that more. So my recommendation was to continue to August 12th.
All right. So we have a recommendation to continue to August 12th. Do we have any questions from Matt, or are we all right with continuing to?
Yeah.
12th? All right. Do I hear a motion to continue to August 12th?
I'll make the motion.
All right. Motion by Brian, second by Marilyn. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstained. All right, so that motion carries 5-0. 6 Prospect Street, continued from an earlier date. Matt, do you have an update?
Yeah, and just, I guess procedurally, I would caution the commission even discussing this one much. We have a situation where we're issuing fines still. There's 4 different violations, fines are being issued. That's continuing. My understanding is that Mr. Eck has appealed the initial batch of fines to the magistrate's office. I haven't received any word on that yet, but we'll see what happens there. But it wouldn't surprise me if something like this ends up in court one way or another. So I would just caution the commission on discussing this in open session and say that I'm still issuing fines and coordinating with town council.
And no update on him addressing the site conditions that resulted in the fines in the first place?
Nothing.
Okay, so no action.
No.
All right, well, we don't need to continue something that hasn't been opened. So you'll keep us in.
That will just be on
Keep us
the
up.
agenda going forward, yeah.
What I-
Unless you specifically want to kick it down to a particular date, it will just be on the agenda until
Just
it's
keep it rolling.
Yeah.
gone.
Keep it
Yeah.
going.
What I would ask is, I would ask that you review the situation with council, I'm sure you have, and make sure that council doesn't have any direct guidance for us on this. Right?
Yeah, and I have, and if we think that executive session is something that would be needed, fitting into the specific reasons why you do that, then we can definitely do that. But for now, we'll just keep continuing this, and we'll keep going until we hear something back in terms of any change, which I haven't in a while.
just my take on executive session is everything we do is above board and it's in front. And if it comes to a legal situation, then it's probably out of our hands and it becomes a town leader, town council discussion. So
Yeah.
we've done, I think, what, the town bylaw requires and just knowing that it's, no update is enough of an update for us, I guess.
Yep.
Jones River Estates, Matt, can you brief us on that?
Pass me the. Yeah, so in several situations, there have been developments that have gone poorly in Kingston that were not wrapped up by the developer, particularly orders of conditions and COCs. There's a ton of them out there where they got a partial COC and then never followed up with a final once they got the final occupancy and all that. It's a pattern. The Jones River Estates development was in progress when I started here. It went relatively poorly from a site management perspective. There weren't too many wetlands-related issues there, but there were issues where one developer, I think, walked away from it, and the other one finished it, and it was a little messy towards the end. At this point, the permit has expired, and there's no COC on the project. So I put together enforcement orders under KWPR and WPA to compel the applicant of record, which is the original developer on the project, to file a COC as is required by the orders of conditions. In this particular situation, the LLC that was used for, building the project, for getting the orders of conditions, has not been dissolved. Hence, just having you sign the enforcement orders and not going through the process of sending out a notice of violation, which then would likely result in the LLC being dissolved. In this case, we do have the actual person in charge of the LLC. Their name is on the permit itself anyways. So we do have that, but it's sort of a two-factor thing where you do have both entities still solvent. So essentially what this does is it's to Donald Gillespie and Welby Builders LLC, and we are ordering the filing of a complete request for certificate of compliance for work performed under OOCs issued under DEP and KWPR file number SE 0370852, and that's the applicant of record for the project located at 15, 17, and 19 Wapping Road. One of those is DOT's address, but this is because the property was subdivided. So the lot numbers that are listed here, lot numbers 46, map number 44, lots numbers 46, 46-1, and 46-2, have all been subdivided now. This is all the, Captain Jones Way and Barrows Brook Circle. These OOCs were only relevant to, I believe, 2 of those house lots. The rest of it was strictly for road and stormwater layout, things like that. So it's not necessarily a matter of it being a problem for every homeowner having to do their own thing like we've seen on a lot of these before, but still we want to make sure the developer closes things out the way they're supposed to.
I appeared before the commission regarding my numbers, my street number still on there, and asked it be removed. I can only assume it was, perhaps it wasn't, but it would be on the original papers.
It was on the original papers, so that's why it's on here.
Yeah.
But there should be nothing here that ties you to this. If you want to recuse yourself because you're in a butter to it, or because your lot was included in this, or
No.
whatever, you're welcome to, but you don't have to.
I don't need to.
But what this says, it goes through facts detailing when the orders of conditions were issued, when they were extended, and when they expired. And it talks about a request for a partial COC being dismissed, given that the request was unnecessary, and that was while work was still going on. That was in 2019. And It says at this point, the permit has expired, all work appears to complete, and no RCOC has been filed. Remedial actions to be undertaken are the applicant shall file complete WPA and KWPR requests for certificate of compliance with the Kingston Conservation Commission for work performed under that file number by September 24th, 2026. Any certificates of compliance subsequently issued by the commission shall be recorded by the applicant at the Plymouth County Registry of Deeds within 30 days of issuance, and does the usual failure to comply with that is $300 a day. So if the commission has any questions, I can answer questions. Otherwise, I'd look for a motion to issue these enforcement orders as written, and I'd have you sign them tonight, and we'll issue it tomorrow.
Okay, I'll make that motion.
Any questions for Matt first?
No.
All right, perhaps we have a motion?
No, because it's crystal clear where we're headed.
I don't wait
so-
to see if there's questions.
No, we don't have any questions.
We're done with the questions.
I have a question.
Do we have a motion?
I was trying.
I know, but you steps, you get a step. You're dancing too fast. All right, what's your motion?
My motion is
Issue the enforcement order.
to issue the enforcement order.
All right, we have a motion by Marilyn, do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Dot. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? All right, that motion to issue the enforcement orders passes 5-0.
It's pretty cut and dry.
All right, Matt, do you have those ready to sign?
Yes. But there's 2 signature pages. Do you want me just to pass the signature pages now?
He read it, we're all good with the pages, right?
There's 1. There's 2.
Date?
22nd.
22nd. We are way ahead of
It's,
yourself.
yeah, 7/22.
It's
Put another 2 on that. It's-
Oh, geez,
There you go.
too many twos in a row.
It's not even my signature, I'm too tired.
Okay. So it looks like we're into the updates while we're signing. Matt, do you want to provide an update on 12 Alpine Run Road administrative approval?
Yes, property was sold. New property owners wanted to remove 3 hazard trees within what was the 100-foot vernal pool envelope when the property was built, being 100 feet from mean high water. I approved the removal of 2 white pines and 1 oak within the 100-foot vernal pool envelope. I mandated the typical 10 to 20 feet of bole to remain on the 2 trees that were behind the house on the slope, on the top of the slope that leads down towards the wetlands and vernal pool, and the pine that was out in the lawn area, I said flush cut.
Any questions for Matt? All right. How about ongoing projects, Matt? Do you have-
I'll give you nothing on really like general projects, other than, I issued a notice of violation today to the developer of the Barrows Brook Village 40B. That's 3 Rivers Drive, I believe it's Sunset Circle. This has been a sort of known problem for a long time, that the project was never fully finished and closed out, either from the comprehensive permit standpoint, which is a ZBA issue, or from a Conservation Commission issue. So I realized that there was never a COC issued on it, and there's major concerns there with, there was a bridge that was built, there were extensive stormwater features that were installed there, and there's supposed to be ongoing maintenance of all of that. And the permit was very specific on how this was all supposed to go, and it was all supposed to be part of homeowners association maintenance documents, and the homeowners association would be responsible for all of this maintenance. And from what I have gathered, the homeowners association was enacted but never funded, like never transferred fully from the developer is what I understand. Regardless, at this point, it's just the developer never filed for a COC. The developer, as far as I can tell, still owns all of the open space land that was supposed to be preserved as part of this development. Some portions of this are only relative to the comprehensive permit and not the OOCs, but some of them are related together because it is certain things that, you know, you can't really have compliance with the OOC conditions unless you have a functional homeowners association. So it might be messy. In this particular one, the LLC that received the permit and built the development, Delwyn LLC, was dissolved, I think, in 2019. But again, the permit also has the name of the person responsible for Delwyn LLC, which was Peter Delpreet. So I sent a notice of violation to Peter Delpreet today, saying that he's in violation by not having filed for a COC, and that there are issues there that likely need to be dealt with, and that he should get in touch with my office as soon as possible to discuss, you know, his plan for getting into compliance. And I said that this would be put on the September 23rd agenda, regardless of whether he reaches out or not. So it gives him the time to come in and have conversations and talk about a plan forward, or if there's nothing over that time period, then in September, it can be as simple as the commission having a meeting, and I can give you more facts on it, and you can vote to issue an enforcement order, same as we did earlier.
Questions from that? All right. Is there anything else, Matt?
Just signing another document that you approved earlier. There, it's on the green thing. This is the DOA for Reed Street. We were able to prepare it in advance in case the commission was interested in
Just a
issuing it.
single signature page, right?
Yeah, it's a combined permit.
All right, well, the next meeting will be held on August 12th, 2026, starting at 6:30 PM. The time is now 9:15. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion by Megan, second by Brian. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstained. All right, that motion carries. We are adjourned.
Good night.